All righty. Good. Bob, maybe I should give you the magic mouse to be letting folks in.
Oh, that is so dangerous.
You want me to do it? Well, it's all right.
No,
He's
it's gotta be
trained,
somebody.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
He's saying he's not trained, but he's well trained. So I'd like to call this meeting to order. And thank you all for attending. I am Deb Travis, the chair of the Bronx Community Board 8 Parks and Recreation Committee. I have a few housekeeping items for the discussion. As Community Board Committee, we loosely follow Robert's Rules of Order. We will be following the agenda that was previously distributed. If we open a topic to general discussion, we ask that if you'd like to speak, that you raise your hand and I will call on you. Prevent background noise from interrupting others. If you are on Zoom, to raise your hand, you will select reactions at the bottom of the screen. If you're on the phone, it is *6 to toggle between muting and unmuting, and it is *9 to raise your hand. We do not have a chat function at all, so that is the way it's set up. So I'm going to start off with roll call with committee members. Bob Bender.
Here.
Carol Blake.
Here.
Miriam Byler.
Here.
And I'm Deb Travis. I am here. Are there any other community board members? Laura Spalter.
Please.
Carlos's iPhone. I see Sebastian. Chippewa.
Yeah. Hi, Deb.
I can say it until I'm under pressure.
Chitlipilli.
Julie
Is Julie there?
Yeah, Julie's on.
Oh, there
Yes.
you are. Okay.
I switched over.
Okay. And that's Julie Reyes. She's the chair of the community board. Anyone else?
Althea Ebo.
Althea?
I'm not, I'm a community
Are you a new
board
board
member. I'm a new community board member.
Oh, welcome. Okay. Anyone else? All right.
You had
Great.
Daniel early phone, Daniel Nunez.
Daniel Nunez. Okay.
You on?
Thank you for the reminder. All right. Are there any elected officials or representatives of elected officials?
Hi, yes, I'm here. This is Flavia. Representing Senator
Flavia,
office.
Rivera's office.
Okay. And Flavia, your last name is cut off. It's Salazar.
That's Senator. That's it.
Oh, that's it. Oh, I think
Yeah.
that's Senator Rivera. Gotcha. Okay.
And
I thought it
this-
was-
And Senator Rivera is joining around in a couple minutes.
Okay, that's all fine. All right, and then as far as the Parks Department, I have Tara Valenta, Valerie Davis, Kat Rome, Paul Ruben, Diane Fisher, Julie Fisher, Stephanie Ehrlich, Xiaozing Yang, and anyone else?
Sorry, Diana Phillips from Parks.
Oh, I bet that's where I screwed up.
And
Thank
Tom
you for the
Balsley,
correction.
who is our design consultant.
Thank you. And Xiao Ying Yang, my associate, working with me on the project.
Yes.
Got it. All right. We got someone in the waiting room.
Do we want to admit Zoom user? You okay with that?
Oh, not really. It should have a name. That's all it has. It doesn't have. They don't
Yeah,
have a
I
name.
can see it. Just says Zoom user.
I think you have to go to view though to ask them to put their name in the.
Already you're above my pay grade.
Well, I'll start with approval of the minutes of the last time this committee met, which was April 23rd, 2025, which seems like a whole other time away, another era. Is there anyone who has any changes they'd like to propose to the minutes? All right. If there are no objections, I move to approve the minutes by unanimous consent. Amendments. All right, the minutes are approved. It is the first meeting. I really don't have a chair's report, and we've got a lot of stuff on the agenda, so I'm going to skip right to the presentation for this evening. So the New York City Parks Department has a presentation for us on Fort Independence Playground and public restroom design. So I will hand it off to whoever would like to go first.
Tara, who's presenting first?
Yeah, so we're gonna go from one right into the other. So Xiaoying, you can share your screen now, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Here we go. I guess you all know where Fort Independence Playground is. Xiaoying, please advance. Xiaoying, thank you, thank you. Here we are in Kingsbridge Heights, and we're our team's focus has been on the Fort Independence playground. As you know, it's right at the northern end of the reservoir, and it is a site that's slightly elevated above the street. Next slide. Just surrounding land uses as they might influence our design. Next. And taking assessment of adjoining other play areas, other parks, and how they serve the communities, as in a way that they might also inform our design directions. Next. And here you'll see the park site, and you'll see the dog run. You're all familiar with the dog run, but the playground is over to the left, the western end of the park. And the black dashed line is the area of our scope. And as we're designing, we're hoping very much to have the playground seem as if it's a part of the park and take advantage of the park qualities itself. And we're looking, you'll hear as I go along, we're looking for synergy between the actual playground area and the wonderful kind of sloping hillside that joins that play area. Next. And so here is the site of the existing playground. It consists of swings of two different size swings, different play areas and different clusters. It's a full area of play. And it has the square form you see there is the existing restroom building that we will be relocating, and we'll show you a little bit more about that. But just to the south of the playground site itself is the pathway into the park. So there is traffic moving from the park east to west, west to east, and then moving out onto Sedgwick Avenue. So people do come in from Sedgwick Avenue. They come in from the park path, and oftentimes they come in and use that restroom, which brings sort of general park pedestrian traffic into the restroom, and that's going to be a factor we'll share with you a little bit later. Okay, next. The park site or the playground site is blessed with an unbelievable canopy of trees. There is no sunshine hardship in this site. It's wonderful, but as we most of us know, when we have trees like this, we have to be very careful that we're not endangering the long span life of those trees. We take a very close assessment of their root systems, the circular area around them where they have these critical root systems. So to make sure that those improvements we're making are not going to cause harm to those trees, because they're a real asset for the site. And then just to the right, you'll see some contour lines. Even though the area is white, that's the kind of a hillside, and there's a little bit of a rock outcrop along the edge of the play area as well. Again, those are important as we get into talk about the design and the approach to that design. Okay. As I mentioned, the darker green areas are these areas that are very important, the critical, they're the structural root zones. And then the green area around it, or the dashed line area within the green, is what we call the critical root zone area. And what that means is basically we wouldn't want to do any major excavation that would compromise those root systems. Now, as it stands, the park is virtually paved all around these trees. So replacing it again with paving will not do harm to those roots, but if any major construction would. So we're paying very close attention to that sensitivity in the site. There are, of those trees, I'm sorry, go back a little bit to show you anything. You'll notice in the top, there are 4 smaller trees that are the arborists from the Parks Department determined were not well enough to preserve, so they are being removed, but there's also one down below, but the majority of those trees, as you see, are all in good shape and are going to be saved. Next. These are just some views. Again, from the street, you see it's just slightly elevated with really a railing that's in good shape. So we hope to just restore that railing. And again, here are the piers and the entrance gateway. Some plaques have been removed that as part of this project will be replacing. But it's a very gracious entrance to the park. And this, as you walk in, you could move a little bit right to move in the path along the reservoir, or you could head left into the play area itself. Just a few other images of the conditions of the pavement in the play area. Some of it is some Belgian block around the trees, benches, but pretty hard paving and of course resilient paving under the play equipment itself, and as well as under the swings. Next. Just some close-up conditions of situations we're going to be improving. And this is the existing comfort station and benches. Next, please, Xiaoying, thanks. And just some benches, and you'll see there's still some equipment here, and it's used, but we hope to greatly improve that. But there, from the play area, there are these wonderful views of the reservoir. And next slide, you'll tell a little bit what I'm referring to. This wonderful hillock, we would call, not a hill, but it's a hillock. And it has some exposed beautiful Bronx schist rock outcrop. And it's right at the edge of the play area. So we're hoping actually for young children. I'm sorry? We're hoping that we can sort of recruit this hill as part of the play experience, where you can move from the play area up the hill and run up and down. We know our children love to do that. So I wanted to give you a peek at that. Next. Again, look at some of the play equipment. Next. More photos. This is an area where the flagpole is. It's a very tall flagpole. The New Start Park standard for sites of this size is going to call for a slightly shorter flagpole, but there still will be a flagpole in that location. Next. So we heard a lot of comments from the community. There was a need to make sure we replace the swings with new ones. They don't want to give up swings. We thought there was a feeling that we need more diversity in the seating. A lot of the seating was removed from the play equipment, and they'd like it to be more closely associated with the equipment for better supervision, and maybe a little bit more diverse, different types of seating. There was a request for water play, and you'll see we've brought some water play into the park, and then a general greening of the park if possible, without compromising its performance as a play area, and we kept that in mind as well. Next. So this is an overall view of the park plan, and the first thing I want to point out to you is where the comfort station is. Now, the one I showed you.
Yeah, it's just us. Yeah, just us.
Is that a question for me?
Tom, can you just repeat what you just said? You're occasionally cutting out here, and so you were
Oh,
frozen
sorry.
for a moment, so we missed a little bit of what you just said.
Okay, I'm sorry. Well, we're looking at the overall illustrative plan of our proposed park scheme.
Mhm.
And the first thing I want to point out with that is, and it was very important, it gave a lot of thought to where would the new comfort station be? The current one, that location is really blocking the park off from that hillock. And it was thought that for a couple reasons, it attracts traffic in through the play area to use the restroom, which is not the most desirable. We'd rather the play area be for the children and the supervisors, but we thought we were looking for a location where other people could get access to the to the restroom without going too far into the playroom. So that was the thinking behind why we might want to move it over here. There's also a much less expensive access to utilities that's contributing to this as well. And we thought it could be, it's a kind of a nice centralized location for the use for general park visitors, as well as those in the play area itself. So that's the thinking behind why we've placed this new comfort station here near this entrance. As you look around the plan, you'll see the green swing areas. They've also been,
Right. Oh, thank you.
okay, I'll take that. As you'll see, they've been replaced with new swings, the 8-foot swings, as well as the toddler swings. And then there's the kind of looping area to the top of the scheme. You'll see there's benches and table and chair seating all the way around, so parents can choose their form of seating. And they're going to be very close to the play equipment and supervising the children. And their backs will be to the fence, and they'll be able to look out over the entire play area and up the hillside. And then just to the right of that, you'll see there's a centralized water play area. That would be sprays out of the pavement as well as out of some objects to add a little diversity to the exposure. And we've tucked that water play a little bit into that slope. So there's a couple of seating steps where parents could actually sit on those steps as well as sitting in the benches around the park to watch the children. So we thought that might be a nice addition to the water play. And then in the center of the space, we have 2 big trees and creating lots of shade, but that gives us a beautiful area for the 2 to 5 age group. And again, they're going to have a nice safety surface, a nice digitized kind of 3 different color greens in the safety surface itself. You'll see the green area. And then again, you can see a little bit below that, again, a mixed amount of seating, watching over the 2 to 5 play. And then over in the corner, we created a little toddler play area, again with seating close by. With a little equipment, you'll see more of the detail of that as well. But I also want to point out with respect to the comment about some greening, all of those Belgian block areas that you saw before, we're going to replace all of that with a low-level planting that will protect the green, but also low-level plants that won't block views at all, but will give an added level of green and pervious filtration for the soil. And we think that's going to be a very nice green addition to the play area itself. Again, the entrance has been, we're going to have a little bit of hexagonal pavers in the entrance. And then we'll be using the safety surface as I noted before, and that transitions over to the walkway going off to the reservoir and the rest of the park. Okay, next. This is just the same area without the tree canopies, so I don't think we'll have to walk you through this. And then here this identifies the various areas of fencing that's important to all of us. We know that to add some green in these park areas and the heavy use areas, they require a little bit of protective fencing. And of course, we'll have the taller fencing, a 3-foot high fencing around the swings. That's required, and that's just good practice. And you'll notice the black line, that's the existing 4-foot high fence, and it's in very good shape. So that'll continue across and with the gates as well, and that'll all be restored to its original condition. Next. This is just a little close-up of that play area, what some of the objects look like, what some of the sprays out of the pavement look like. It's kind of a dynamic little colorful play pavement, safe for the children with good traction. And as I noted before, there's these two-stepped kind of seat walls, so you can sit up on those edges and watch the kids play, or they can sit on those edges as well, or they might run from the water right up the hill. Next. And this is the 5 to 12. This is the more challenging play equipment. Lots of climbing, lots of slides, lots of platforms, and all different levels of play as part of this cluster of equipment. And it will again rest in this resilient surface. And it has that nice perimeter seating for watching over the children play. And then we have a little bit of a green area that's been saved with an existing tree in it, and we've got a low rail around that, so that we wanted to make sure that tree could be preserved and still be part of that play space. Next. Here we are in the 2 to 5 zone. Again, equipment similar, slides, climbing, platforms, and everything in between, but also a little less challenging. Who knows what happens when you're 5? Do you go over to the 5 to 12? Well, that depends on the children and the parents and their capability, but all of these options are there for us. And again, we're using very complementary colors, sort of a digitized 3 different color greens as a different just a kind of a very alive pavement in the resilient surfacing, and then we've put some dots of orange in it, and then we've outlined the areas to make it more interesting from a graphic point of view, with some color seal around on the pavements beyond the resilient surface. Next. Again, this is the toddler area, again, with that nice graphic in the color seal pavement. And then because there's no climbing, it's just sort of approaching and interacting with this equipment. There's just this lower equipment that is toddler friendly. And hopefully some learning experiences come from it. And again, there's this diversity of seating that's available as well. And those toddlers can obviously run up that grass slope as well. So we're very happy to have enlisted the slope as part of the play choices here in this space. These are the two the swing areas, the largest swing and then the toddler swing area you see on the bottom. Lots of swinging possibilities here, more swings than were in the original park. And again, the diagram up above shows the kind of the percentages of the green colors and the dots of orange. This is just a view of the equipment or the furnishing rather for the park. It's standard Parks Department equipment. It's a complementary. It's got a little bit of a historic leaning to it because of the nature of the park and other equipment or other furniture in the park. We're using the Type B luminaire pole in the park, and then the safety, the protective railings is very, very minor, just enough to keep people from thinking they should be walking through a planting area, enough for them to respect it. And there's if you could go back, Xiaoyang. There is a trash enclosure that will be outside the fence, out on the street side against the wall. I forgot to point that out to you. When we do our Q&A, I can point that to you if you need to know where it is. Okay. These are the plaques that were there, and we'll be replacing those, having those plaques replaced. I don't know where they live today, but we're going to replicate them and make sure they're more deeply embedded. Next. And this is the area of planting. Again, I mentioned that we're adding spots of green in the park, in the play area itself, along the entrance in that larger area to the south, and even a little bit to the north in that island, like an ovoid island that you saw up in the 5 to 12 play area. And don't forget, again, our green hillock. And up in the northern part where there was an opportunity to introduce some ornamental trees, just as a mix with the shade trees. And so we think we're going to be adding some dogwoods and red buds because they do well in the shade, and yet they'll give us some of that spring color, harking the new season. As for the shrubs and the planting area, they'll be very low, again, allowing for good sight lines, and they won't be a ground cover that attracts rat habitat. That's always been a big factor. With the ground covers in the parks now, we're making sure that we're planting things that are not attracting them or providing that habitat. But as you can see, it's got a little diversity in its color, and it'll be quite interesting. Okay. These are just an analysis of how much more pervious we've added the surfaces in the park. We've done a pretty good job of increasing that, and that's always a nice box to check as we're thinking about sustainability. Next. And just to peek into the park, let's say we've just come in from the entrance. The restroom is on the left. We're kind of passing by it. And you can see the older children's play area, the 2 to 5, and then just beyond in the center, the water play. And then beyond that, the grassy, I'm not going to use the word grassy knoll because I think some of us are old enough to know what that means. So I'm going to call it a hillock. Next. Again, another view. We've come around over the toddler area is just to the right off the screen. And this is the 2 to 5 that you see. And then again, the knoll and the water play. And there you see those ornamental trees. I'm not sure why they're in fall color. I'll try to explain that another time. Okay, next. And here we are, just a different view. Now we're in the very northern end of the park. You can see just a little glimpse of these round tables and chairs and stools, which is a nice addition to just the regular park bench. Here, that protected planting area, the existing tree, the larger play equipment, the smaller play equipment in the center, in this case, and the water play to the left. It's going to be a very green space, starting first of all with a canopy of trees, but we think adding a lot more green color in the pavement with a nice accent of orange. And then the lower green addition will be well received. Next. That is it. I'm very happy to take any questions or comments.
If we can just continue with the presentation.
Oh, right, that's right. Sorry.
Right, and then we'll do all questions at the end.
Yep, okay.
So Diana, if you want to.
Yes, thank you. Thanks.
Great.
Thanks, Tara. Thanks, Tom. Good evening, everybody. My name is Diana Phillips, and I'll be presenting the new public restroom building at Fort Independence. Our building is approximately 720 square feet, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in the next slides. Okay, just to recap, here again we have the existing site plan, and off to the east we could see that there's an existing public restroom building that's 20 by 20. Due to its poor structural condition, we are going to be demolishing it and replacing it with our new public a new public restroom building in a new location. And here we see some existing photographs of the building, and we can see due to its deteriorated state, we're going to be demolishing and replacing it with a new one. Some additional pictures of the building. Next. Okay, again, here we have our new public restroom building footprint, which is a little bit larger than the existing one. It's a 20 by 36. Again, we see it incorporated into the schematic playground design for the landscape that the landscape team has done. As Tom mentioned, there was thoughtful consideration when it came to the building placement, giving the geometry of the playground, giving the location of the existing trees. We found it best to bring it closer to the street to open up a little bit the sight lines all around the playground, to kind of separate a little bit of the users, the people that are going to use the public restroom building and the people that are using the playground. Our new public restroom building is larger in footprint, which allows for more plumbing fixtures, and the location kind of creates less disturbance on the existing trees. Next. So our public restroom building is approximately 20 by 36. Our floor plan is kind of divided into 3 individual spaces. Our central space is our mechanical room for our maintenance and operation, and to the right and left, you have our public restroom facilities. Starting from the women's, we have 2 sinks, then we have 2 toilet stalls. If you're in the men's, you have 2 urinals, and then we have 1 ADA bathroom stall at the end of
Ralph, we still have to write your name.
Next. Here we have our proposed exterior elevation rendering for the building. Our building is roughly 13 feet high. We went, our building exterior is a polished concrete block. We went with a green color palette to kind of respond to the color palette that the landscape is doing in the playground. Here we can see the doors for those rooms all face that front elevation. The double doors is the entrance to the mechanical rooms, and to the right and left, you have the entrances to the public restroom buildings. Above the doors, we have clear story windows, and in between those windows, you have some exterior lighting. We also have our water fountain and our bottle filler in front of our building. Next, here we have some side elevations. We have the clear story windows to provide light into the men's and women's restroom, and we also have some exterior lighting as well. Next. And this is the rear elevation of the building. Again, clear story windows. We have some additional exterior lighting as well to just provide light into the spaces, along with a green roof. Next, and here we can see a typical 3D rendering of what the building will look like. Next. And this, we have our proposed conceptual materials. Here you can see a close-up starting at the left-hand side of the green color palette. And next, we have our typical standard public restroom elements. Next. And here, just kind of to just recap, we can see the 2 different projects that are going to be proposed for the Fort Independence. We see the playground, and we also see the new public restroom building. So I think now we can open up to comments and questions.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. I think we had Christine's written there. We're going to start with the committee. Does the committee have any questions or anything they'd like to ask about the Board of Independence renovation?
I have a question, but I can ask
Go ahead.
after.
Well, I'm the chair, so I'll call somebody. I'll go with Bob, then I'll go with you.
Yeah, my question is, what's the time frame here? When do you anticipate beginning work, and how long are you estimating it will take?
I'll take that if you all want. So design for both contracts for the building and the playground will be done by next summer. May, June for the two different contracts. We then have about a year for procurement, which I believe, you know, when the legal review and going out to bid and all of that. And then it'll be about 2 years for construction. So it seems a long time, but with the two different contracts, including the demo of the existing building and the whole new building, we're looking at completion of summer 2029.
I'm sorry, could you say that again? Summer 2020?
Summer 29.
29. Is that your only question?
That was mine, yes.
That's it? Miriam?
So I was hoping you can clarify, I wasn't able to tell where the fencing was based off of where the bathrooms are and then the playground. You mentioned that there's a lot of foot traffic from side of the park, and I was just curious. Whether.
Fort Independence.
I think I got it. So Cheyenne, if you don't mind going back to the fencing diagram. In the meantime, I could say one thing we didn't mention, which was we discussed a lot, along with moving the building closer to the entrance. We got rid of that additional path that goes in right now, like to the right of the screen where we have that little tot play. So that's going to keep people, and that has a 3-foot fence on the out, like the jogging path side, and then 3-foot fence around the swings. The perimeter fence stays the same, and then just the 1-foot fence around the planting to protect the plants. But this way we think that's really going to separate the uses of the kids in the playground and people coming just to use the bathroom. So they're not going to be cutting through or going to the middle of the playground anymore. It'll just be like in and out from that entrance, which is really kind of separated with the fence from the swing on the one side, the trees, you know, separating the uses that way.
Thank you.
Does that answer anything else?
I think that answers that.
We always come back. Carol?
Is there any particular time? I don't intend to hear.
I think I hope that.
Are the bathrooms going to be locked up at any particular times, or they're just always open?
So Carol's question is, will you continue to lock the bathrooms? So currently, I think they're locked when the park is closed, and then they're opened in the morning. Is
Yes,
that going to continue?
they will
Videos
continue
off.
to lock.
Look,
We're
it's
moving from somebody's else.
Bronx Community Board 8.
If you just pop join down, we should be able to see who's talking. We can mute them. The caret next to join 69, it will show us who's speaking. We can mute them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like actually a community board meeting. Like people are in person, some people are attending Zoom.
All right. Fix that, and then we'll go back and we'll unmute.
All right. Okay. We'll expand that box.
All right, I'll go on to, there you go. I'll go on to, Christina. Do you have a question?
Hi everyone. My name is Christina, local resident, Debbie's neighbor, and my kids come to this park. So I have a question about the benches. This park currently has a lot of benches, and it may look like a lot, but they really get used. I want to know if more benches can be added to the design, because it didn't seem like there were quite as many benches now. Excuse me, in the design that there are now.
You want to take that? I mean, Xiaoying is circling right now. All in addition to a lot of the benches, we've also added the tables and seats, and then the seating steps up by the spray shower. But we can look at it to see. We'll squeeze in as many as we can fit. Definitely.
Yep.
Yeah, that's my main comment, right? Just to squeeze in as many as you can, because believe it or not, all those benches are used, and you know, parents that come with strollers and school bags after school, and we all use the benches quite a bit. So The bench surfaces are important, but other than that, it's a great looking design. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Julie, would you like to go next?
Yes, it's in regards to the restrooms. Since you moved it closer to the exits and entrance, and there are more transients in the area, have you thought of putting the men's room closest to the exit?
Diana, do you know, is
I
that
do.
possible to swap the men's and women's room?
Yeah, I think that's something we can look at.
Just for safety purposes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jody, would you like to go next?
Sure. Thank you. Jody Cologne, Friends of Spite and Dival. We steward Henry Hudson Park. It's a new day. This is the first time that I am not asking for more pervious surfaces, green roofs, or tree preservation because you already considered it. So that's very exciting.
We all got the message.
We've been saying it a long time, so I'm very happy. So I just had a quick thing about the water fountains. In Henry Hudson Park, there is a water fountain that has a higher arch that you can put a water bottle under, and I know a lot of people are carrying those nowadays. So I was wondering if that was something that would be helpful in that park. And then my other questions are about plantings. Coosa dogwoods are beautiful, but how close will it be to the play areas? Because those berries look delicious. They are edible, but I was just kind of wondering, they can make a mess there. And then my other question is about the 1-foot fence. You called it a plant rail. That kind of seems like a trip hazard. Especially I saw one at the bottom of the slide. Also, it's an easy barrier for dogs to kind of jump in. So I don't know if there are a lot of dogs in that park, but having a lower barrier and plants so close to that rail, we lose a lot of plants to, sorry to say it, but dog pee. So we've had to move all our plantings back a foot and build a mulch berm to protect those plants. And those are all my questions. The Coosa dogwood, the water bottle, and the 1-foot trip hazard, and the planting setback to save them from dog pee. Thank you.
I'll say we are doing on the public restroom building, there's going to be the high and the low drinking fountain plus a bottle filler. There's a separate one where you just press the bottle and you press the button and hold your bottle. So it's meant for filling the water bottles. So we have that covered.
I can speak to the Coosa if you want me to.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Xiaoying, could you go to the overall plan? There we go. The Coosa is this one. I'm just circling it now. A little bit further away from the play areas. And the other two are the dogwoods here, which don't have so many berries. So there'd be a red-butted dogwood and a Coosa. I mean, a Coosa dogwood in a Florida, Cornus, Florida. So the Coosa would be, we can make sure, I think it is our intention for it to be set back far enough that it wouldn't be a mess for the pavement or the play area. The fence, we could discuss this with Parks and see if they feel there should be maybe it's an 18-inch high fence. We'll take a look and see what everyone thinks.
Yeah, we can look at that, but I think the thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, was that we were going to really plant those shrubs densely. In there.
Yeah.
So hopefully that'll deter someone from tripping over because there's going to be a plant right there, right? And that'll also hopefully deter dogs from going in because it's not just going to be like an open mulch, area. Like I said, hopefully it'll be, planted really dense.
I forgot what the first question was.
Well,
No, I think you covered all of them, but thank you. I would not wish cleaning up after Akusa on anybody, because we do that. It's right over our benches. So,
Okay.
we can look at replacing the Kusa.
Sure, we're not gonna, there's lots of other choices.
Yes.
Yep.
Actually, while you're here on the plant palette, I just want to call out, just also to reveal who I am. I am not just the chair of the Parks Committee, but I'm also the organizer for the Jerome Park Friends and Neighbors, who is the steward group in this park. And we've been taking care of all of the plantings in this park since 2017. And we've been, over the course of the last 8 years, trying to put natives in this park. And so it's very disheartening, honestly, to see Forsythia and more Spirea. There's a lot of Spirea in this park already. We don't need barberry. We don't need non-native plants. We've got a lot of hydrangeas that are oak leaf hydrangeas, and we don't need macrophilia hydrangeas, here. Like, we're really trying to have native plantings. So I'm disappointed that you're planting this stuff when the nursery itself is phasing it out. Can you talk about why you would be doing that?
We'd be happy to revisit this schematic design. We'd be happy to revisit the species and the selections, and we'll talk it over with our parks team and make sure they're all native. That's easily done.
Yeah, there's lots of great options. So
Sure.
Just to throw that out there.
Yep.
Thank you. Eric and Lafika?
Hi there. Deb, thank you for asking the question about native plants. That was one of my questions. And thank you all for this presentation. This is super exciting. My remaining question has to do with timeline. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I have a newborn, so my 2 remaining brain cells are not quite firing. But please correct me if I'm wrong, that I heard someone say that the full timeline of construction would be about 2 years. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Does that mean that this area of the reservoir path will be inaccessible for that full time?
At this end, you could still, because there's only the one entrance.
Right.
We can't keep it open at this end. So pretty much this whole area shown here will be closed for that full 2 years. The basketball courts and fitness and dog run and all of that is accessible, but only from the other end.
Other end. So in order to like make your full loop of the reservoir, you actually wouldn't be coming down this, you wouldn't be entering here. And if you come in from the other end, there's no way to get back out. Okay.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, I mean, it needs to happen, but just good to know. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. Melissa.
Hello, everyone. I've got the kid here with me, so bear with me. Thank you for this presentation. As somebody who's been playing in this playground since 1983, it's really cool to see and very exciting. And now my kid plays there. I did want to ask just a few things. One is, in the consideration of the fencing, I love that there's a 3-foot fence to block kids from running into that like bike or running path, because that's a real problem. There's mopeds going through it like 40 miles an hour. And I always worry that my kid's just gonna like run and then get hit by one. But another consideration I was wondering if was made was to fence not like the entrance where people, loop through for their reservoir loop, but to fence off the play area, because it is sloped, and if a ball goes kind of near that entrance towards Sedgwick, the ball runs right out to the street and our kids are running after it. And as the mom of a tiny tot, I want to give him his space, but they can run really, really fast. And it's one of the few parks in the area that is completely wide open. Classic is also wide open, but that was just something I was wondering if it was in consideration.
So I don't think we wanted to add another fence in there, but we did with moving the building over closer to the entrance that then pushes the play area kind of to the rear of the site. So hopefully, the ball's not going to be, and, we added the planting right in front of the building. So like hopefully all of the play would be on the back end and that a ball is not gonna roll down towards the entrance. That was our thought. Do you think that works?
I definitely, in theory, totally. Thank you for that. And then the grass meeting the pavement, awesome. Like extending that, like that was one of my favorite parts of playing when I was little, and my sons as well. It's very uneven right now, and I know that that happens as people dig and stuff. Is that something that will be considered? Because I could see kids kind of twisting their ankles.
Right now, it is not within the project limit to go up and do that, but we'll see. Well, definitely, I'll take the note, and if we can afford it, we will definitely do it. If not, maybe we'll be able to work with maintenance and operations to do something, you know, before we're done, but I'll definitely take that note.
Awesome, thank you. And I swear my last thing, you guys might not even handle this, but could there be any signage about like not smoking and motorbikes not going through at like 50 miles an hour? I've written like council people and New York City parks about it, but I figured I'd ask here as well.
We'll definitely be doing new signage when we do it. I'm not sure we have a whole separate sign team that does all of that, you know, so I'm sure anything, you know, that's been updated, this will get all of the new language and all of that. But I will, again, I'll do the smoking and the mopeds you said are the biggest issue. Okay.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Let's see, Christina, I'm gonna skip you for a second since you spoke once already. I'm gonna go to Lindsay first. I think Lindsay hasn't spoken yet. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Hi, sorry. You can also hear my child in the background. I live in the same building as Christina and Deb, so this is a kind of we call it our park. It's like our backyard. Overall, I'm really happy with this. I love the incorporation of the hill and seeing so many of the trees saved. Just a couple questions. One, I think it looks like a poured rubber foundation, but I want to make sure it isn't turf, like AstroTurf. I'm wondering along the bike and running path if those benches are going to remain in place. I know they're outside of the scope of the project, but I can't tell from this diagram. We have many kind of like benches facing each other along there. And then the third question, or I guess just this is more of a comment. I've seen the new bathroom at Fort Ford. This looks very similar. It looks very nice. There's something about having the water fountain attached to the bathroom that just personally really icks me out from a germ perspective. And I'm wondering about having that be separate somehow from being attached to the wall of the bathroom.
We will be doing a separate drinking fountain within the playground, the high-low like standalone. But having it on the building allows it to be used all year round. The ones that are like separate in the playground need to be winterized so the pipes don't freeze. So, and just, I get what you're saying with that, but just so it is like separate, it's off of the mechanical space.
Yeah.
Not, you know, like, but I get that, but there will be this separate drinking fountain within the site.
That's
Can you put the drinking fountain on the side of the building instead of the front of the building?
I can take that. So the location where it backs up to the mechanical room means that all of the equipment that allows it to run year round can be accessed from the mechanical room. So if it's on the side of the building, then we need to make it's a lot more complicated because you're going to end up with an access panel in the restroom. And that's something we really try to avoid. So it's actually completely independent from the restroom. It's piped separately. It is completely independent. Okay. Yeah, as long as there's an option, that's great. And I'm sorry, I just had one more thing to add. I feel that it is really unacceptable to close that entrance of the park for 2 years. It is a walking path for people. It is a pass through for many of us to take our children to school. People bike through there as a safe bike route. I don't know if there's a way that it can be as the construction is happening in phases, if at least part of that path can be maintained, because I think that's a real hardship for the way that people use the park in this area.
We can look at it, but unfortunately, because it's the only entrance and because the rest of the playground is up above, you know, you've got the 3-foot wall or whatever it is. It's not like we can build a separate entrance somewhere else in order to keep this open. And then safety wise, with all of the trucks in and out, I don't think it's possible. We'll look at it. We'll talk to the borough about it to see if there are any other options. But unfortunately, I don't think so. And I understand it's a hardship, but you'll have this brand new park
Yeah.
with the building afterward.
And to add to that, phasing this project is just it's not doable. But we do understand the importance of having that entrance, but it's necessary for this project.
Anything else? Okay, I'm moving on. Actually, I saw the 646 is the next person, and then Ida. So sorry I missed you before.
Do you
646-508? Yeah, there you
do
are.
you hear you guys hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So my name is Daniel Nunez. I'm a Community Board 8 member. I just joined this coming August. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the presentation today. It was lovely. Although I can't see the pictures, it sounds like an amazing project. I have 3 questions. I'll try to make it quick, but it's not in regards to that park. It's park related. Is that okay?
No, Daniel, we're talking about this presentation right here. If you have some other park that you want to talk about, then we should discuss it. You should raise it in new business at the end of the meeting.
Perfect. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so I'll wait until the end then. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem at all. We'll talk to you then. All right, Ida.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Oh,
Floor
thank
is
you.
yours.
Overall, I think it's just a lovely presentation. Personally, I'm just very sad that it's going to take so long and that we will be without a park, but I understand there's nothing much to do. I just want to go back to the bathroom and the ick factor. You know, everybody tries their best to keep the areas around bathrooms really clean and attractive, but we all know that they get a little rundown because of the traffic and the water, etc. Is there really enough room around this new building so that whatever overflow that might affect the surrounding area would be enough of a barrier, I guess, because I see there's no fence around it. And I personally actually enjoy that little rotunda area that's near the flagpole, and I'd hate to see it become, you know, an area to be avoided.
Thank you, Ida.
I can comment on the area around. There's, I believe it's 10 feet between the fence and the back of the comfort station. That if that gives you a sense of scale of the spaces that you're looking at.
When
So
you
there's-
say the back, is that the part that's close to the street or away
Yeah,
from
the back being the part that faces Sedgwick.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 10 feet between the fence and that, and that's both to allow the building to breathe, but also to have good maintenance access all around the building at all times. So that space has been provided primarily for the maintenance, but it also might help some overflow issues.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else, Ida?
No, that's it.
All right, Gary.
Hi, folks. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I did join the meeting late, so I didn't see the original discussion, so I might have missed something. I am proud to say I am the 3rd generation of a 4-generation family in this neighborhood. I have lived across this park for my entire life. And I know some people talked about longevity. I played in that park in the late 50s and 60s, and I've seen every change in Pigeon Park for all this time. The absolute stupidest thing I ever saw, 2 stupid things I saw created, that running track behind the benches. Can I assume that it's not going to be gravel? And the second part of it is I have run around that reservoir as much as anybody and through that park. I have never in all these years seen one person run on that running track. I think it's a waste of space. I think you should eliminate it and you should just make it green space, especially if it's being redone, because certainly if it's gravel, all that gravel runs to the bottom of the park and it's a waste. So that's my first comment. So I'm just curious about that, and then I'll ask a second question.
That was technically not in our scope. We weren't going to touch that. That's to remain. It was installed not that long ago, right? And I assume
It was installed, I believe, after the filtration plant was put, and that was some of the monies that came through when the water, with that whole parks deal with the filtration plant probably about 20 years ago.
That area is not part of the scope, right, Sarah?
My point is, it's wasted space. It used to be green. It should be green. I've never seen one runner run on it. As a runner myself, not lately, but as a runner myself, I would never have run on it. They just run on the main walking path. So that's something to be considered. I mean, it runs all the way down to the end of the park, to the other part of Sedgwick Avenue. I think you should really consider expanding the green space and eliminating that, because nobody uses it. That's my experience, my lengthy experience of using the park and seeing the park. So I don't know if it's possible, but I think it would make a lot of sense to eliminate that. The second thing, okay, go ahead if you want to respond.
Kara, this is not, that area right there is not that he's referring, so that's not part of the scope.
Well, the one that goes left. No,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
referring to the one that goes all the way down to the bottom of the hill.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's like we said, it's technically outside of our scope of work.
That would be like a whole separate.
Right, because we can't just cut it off right here, right? It would need to be addressed because it keeps going.
Whatever. I mean, I'm not an engineer.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
But
folks,
yeah.
But in any discussion about it and further discussion, it's just a wasted space and it used up space that nobody uses, and green is always preferred over gravel or concrete.
Thank you, Gary.
We took the note. So yeah, for future, we'll see. Yeah.
Thank you. Then the second thing I want to ask about now, I mean, what goes on further, I guess it's north in the park, is that being considered as well? Or this is only a design for the playground?
This is only the playground and the public restroom building.
Okay, one comment for you to have in the back of your mind when it does come up. The fact that they built that fence and cordoned off on the other side that leads to the mutual parking lot, they cordoned it off. It's like they built a hotel for rats. There is no reason to have all the stuff on the, I guess it's the western side of the basketball courts, and the handball courts is literally fenced off from the public. It is a complete waste of space. And the fact that nobody can even enter it is literally a rat and vermin playground. And it's just absolutely unconscionable that they did it, and it should be eliminated as soon as possible. Also, the last thing I will mention, because I've been around so long, we used to play softball and punch ball right on the northern part of the basketball courts. And they built trees to keep us off that part. They planted trees, and I will never forget that they discouraged us from playing in that park. So if that land, and of course we had 2 basketball courts, 2 full courts. Now we only have 1. That is very disappointing, because we need our kids to have places to play. And that's really all I want to say.
Great, thank you, Gary. Appreciate you being on the call tonight. Guadalupe. You're next, and then Christina.
Hi there. Hi. This is actually Christopher, Guadalupe's husband, using her phone. But I had a quick question regarding the metal fencing along the running track here. I'm wondering kind of if there's a way for there to be kind of like a observation deck or something. Right now we have like wire fencing, but it'd be cool if we could have something like glass or something that would allow us to actually see through the reservoir a little better. Maybe, view the sunsets as well. And so just wondering if there could be, since you're going to be working on that area anyway, if there's a way for you to kind of work on that or work that in there.
Are you talking about the chain link fence that goes around the reservoir?
Right, exactly.
That's actually DEP property.
I
So
see.
even if our project was going out to that, we wouldn't be allowed to touch that, unfortunately.
Okay.
There is, we could say, go sit on top of the hill here and maybe get a nicer view over the fence, but there's nothing we could do about that fence. I'm sorry.
Got it. Okay, no worries. Thank you.
Mhm.
And Christina.
Please.
Hi again. I wanted to ask, the entry point that between the two darker green areas before you reach the restroom building, how wide is the walking path there?
You mean through the gate?
Yes, there. Yes.
I'm gonna just estimate.
Oh no, I'm sorry, not the gate. The other one. When you
Right
walk through
there.
that gate, yeah, that
That's,
one.
that's 10 feet wide.
10. Okay. I feel like that might be a little narrow, especially if, there are multiple people going in or out of the park playground area at the same time. It might be a little bit of a bottleneck.
I think it's what it is now, but we're happy to look at it and see if we could widen it a little bit. We are kind of caught between those, the root system of the trees. So that's a little bit of a restriction, but we can take a look.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I think because what you're drawing as a green area is now not green.
Belgian block, right.
The Belgian
right.
block. So it
Yeah.
appears there's actually more walking surface now
Well,
than there would be here.
that's true. This is true. It's a cobblestone, although I'm not sure, given the condition, I'm not sure how walkable it is, but
Oh, it's definitely walkable.
okay. All right, good.
We'll look at it, maybe because of the trees on either side, we're probably not going to be able to widen it much, but maybe a foot or two.
Mm-hmm. We can take a look.
Yeah, I think it would make a bit of a difference if it was a little wider. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
So,
you.
I think that's everybody from the public has said what they'd like to say. I would like to just give a couple of comments. One is that I do love green space, additional green space, but that the area as you're entering in the gate, just kind of immediately in front, that you're converting from the Belgian block to this green gardened area. That's where there's usually a lot of birthday parties. Most weekends there's birthday parties in that area, and right now it's kind of it's got benches on both sides that face inside, and people set up tables. And my concern is that the way you've reconfigured this, you have made it so that there's not really a good place for someone to have a birthday party, or usually 2 or 3 birthday parties going on a weekend. That's not interfering with the play areas themselves. So that's my first concern. But the second is that it also pertains to that green area, is that I think there's existing gardens, and I wasn't quite sure if I'm looking at it on the right. There's a triangle-shaped garden that exists there now, that's been there since the Capitol project in 2014. I'll say personally, we've been weeding it, taking care of it for years. And so it's a little bit upsetting to think that you guys might be pulling it out or taking it down. So I don't know, I can't tell where the boundary exactly is of the existing garden.
Yes, that's Xiaoying just circled it. We were planning on incorporating it. We were not going to. It's very well maintained, and we thank you. It looks great. We were going to incorporate it into the larger planting area.
Right.
I see. Okay. And then one other thing, the restroom. I'm not a master of feng shui, but it seems a little bit putting the back of the restroom facing the street. Like if I'm standing on Sedgwick Avenue right now and I look into this park, I can see into this park. I can see children running around, I can see all of the benches, and I can see all the way to the restroom, which is right up against the grassy knoll over there. but that it provides kind of a sight line through the park. And my worry is that when we're standing in front of the park from Sedgwick, we're going to look and we're going to see the back of a charcoal, like a pretty dark cinder block looking building right at the entrance. I'm like Ida, I do like the area under the flagpole. I think that circular piece is actually kind of a nice design element, but I worry a little bit about flipping like the restroom in that way. I have heard from the community that nobody's really wanted the restroom moved. So you're being creative. And you know, I gotta encourage that, and I understand that you're trying to integrate the hill more, but that you got a high bar to climb or get over right now, because right now I don't think anybody's having any trouble with the existing location of the restroom, and so you're not solving a problem. Kind of, you know.
Right. Well, if I could say, we did have at the community input meeting, there were quite a lot of comments about how it blocked sight lines. That
Yeah.
you couldn't sit on one bench, and you know, if your kid ran to the play equipment on the other side or up on the hill, or, you know, that it blocked those sight lines of watching your kid playing in the playground.
Yeah, another point, our new public restroom building's footprint is a lot bigger than the existing 20 by 20, and there is some trees around the existing location of the building, and us expanding it to be able to provide additional fixtures for the playground and for the users. It also doesn't allow us to really excavate, because then we're going to be disrupting the existing trees that are currently there.
Right. And there were comments about, you know, that, you know, keeping the uses separate
Yeah.
of people coming in,
Yeah.
you know, to use the restroom that are then walking into the middle of the playground. And again, you know, the parents not being able to see with the building right in the middle.
Okay. Not sure 100% buy it, but I believe you. Can you talk a little bit about the green roof? What does that mean in terms of maintenance? What does that mean in terms of construction?
Diana, you want to take that? That was the green roof.
Yeah, Julie?
Or Julie?
Sure.
Yeah.
So we are required to put either a green roof or PV panels on our buildings. And I think that Tom's slide at the beginning with the extensive shade trees in the area make this not a viable site for PV. It's also a very small installation. So this is our standard at this point to install a lightweight extensive green roof. Maintenance is pretty minimal, but it does help slow down the rain flow that falls on the roof to reduce the impact on the stormwater of the site.
Is it going to be a layer of dirt and is there a specific kind of plant you're putting up there, I guess is my question.
It's a sedum roof.
Okay.
So it's a design system. Zero Floor is the manufacturer.
Okay. And then ventilation for the restroom, are those panels windows or are they screened? I didn't quite catch that in the presentation.
So the building is mechanically ventilated, and then which is required by code. So it's fully mechanically ventilated. And so those are windows to let light in.
Got it. Okay. And then the storage mechanical room, is there storage in there for rakes and garbage bags and things that the M&O use?
Yeah, it will support the maintenance staff at the park.
Is it essentially the same size as what they have now?
It's bigger, actually. What they have now is very, very tight.
Got it. Okay.
And that's one of the factors that, you know, in rebuilding the building, if we kept the existing footprint, we would lose fixtures and all of the systems take up more room than they used to. So with this, we get a little more space for staff and increase the fixtures rather than reducing them for the public.
Okay. And then one of the things that this my last thing is with the sprinkler kind of spray area. Currently the water, I guess this is my second last thing, I have one more. The spray and the water go all the way out the park and then down the brick and then out to the sidewalk and then down Sedgwick and then down Van Cortlandt Park South and
Not anymore.
You know,
it will be regraded to go to a catch basin at the center of the spray area that collects just that, because that's actually technically sanitary water. It has to be kept separate from the storm sewer, you know, system. So yes, the grading will be redone to catch the water for the spray area. and it will have an activator bollard. So it's only on when a kid is there and presses the bollard to use it.
Okay. And then my last question, you promised at the beginning to tell us where the metal garbage container would be. So can you show us on that?
Yeah, we'll go to the overall plan. Xiaoying.
And actually, Tom, we changed it since
Oh.
you might have, it's now, well, actually, yeah. So the path, we were gonna put it along the stone wall
Yeah.
a little bit further away, but the jogging path comes there. And so we're gonna put it against the fence to the right,
Okay.
looking at the entrance against the fence to the right.
Okay.
So wait, so if you're entering the park, where on this map would it be?
Where it's circled, do you see it where it's circled right now?
Yeah, okay. So right now there's a cobble, kind of a shelf planted area that's right to the right as you enter. Is that, you're thinking of putting it in front of that?
On the outside of the fence from there,
So facing.
kind of
center.
right behind the crabapple tree. Against the fence, we talked to the arborist. She said it was okay to have the concrete pad against the fence behind the crabapple.
And that area is in front of the fence, it's lawn.
Yeah, I don't think I understand what you're talking about.
Maybe we could go to the
Yeah, maybe you
photos,
could send something.
Xiaoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you have a?
We have a photo, a frontal photo. I hope we're pulled back far enough for you to see. Yeah,
It's kind of just to the right of that pier on the right.
over there.
Are you pointing? Oh, wait, I try pointing where?
It's
Oh,
to the
against
right. You
against
have
the
a
fence,
pier
yeah.
and then you have a section of fence that goes over. I don't, maybe over here. I'll draw it for you.
Yeah.
It might be over in this area.
Yes.
I see, between that and the stone wall.
That's right.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, I've got two more hands up and then we'll wrap it up. Christina, you've been very patient. What's your question or comment? Oh, wait. All right, Jody, I think I've lost Christina, so you can go.
Okay, Deb, I was thinking about what you said about the back, facing the back, this giant wall of the bathroom. And when I had done an event in the park, I know there were a lot of people up in the front, which would now be lost. Is it possible to rotate it so that the shorter side is closer to the fence rather than the long side? And that would give extra space up in the front. Because I can imagine if you take that open space out from the front that Deb was talking about, people will be outside on the fence, on that area you just showed. They'll be outside the fence with their tables. So I was just curious about that. And Deb, if that was your triangle bed there, would you be willing to sacrifice it for that?
Oh, with the. Oh, do you mean moving the restroom all the way inside?
No, turning the restroom so that instead of the long back of it against the fence, it's a shorter wall. Like rotating it 90 degrees.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Like that. But I'm spatially challenged, so I don't know if that would compromise.
Yeah, no, we looked at it closely, I think, both for several months. I've been with the landscape team also and try to because of the shape of the space and the trees, as you can see here, we tried rotating it. We looked at it several different options. But given the geometry of the site and these trees that are spaced all around in the critical root zones, it's hard to kind of like move, as you can see as Shaheen is trying to draw it on the side. Is actually bigger in footprint, the 20 by 36. So it will then create an access, interfere with the entrance into that play area. So kind of tucking it away kind of just really opens it up, the space, allowing for better circulation around the playground.
Okay, thank you.
If I could
And
add to that.
I am spatially challenged, so everybody knows that. So,
No,
right,
no,
thank
no.
you.
It's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that I do think it would be better if there was some area, it feels a little tight and it's very built for purpose as a playground, without, much area for just congregating. That would be my feedback there, just in terms of the green space and additional plantings right up there at the front. I mean, right now it's got a nice open feel to it, and so you often have tables and stuff set up, in that area. So that's my feedback there. If there's no other comments, then, AP, have you already spoken once? I don't know.
No, hi, it's Alfred Planko. I live down the street from this park. I just had a couple questions about outside the outside the fence and the lawn strip, like on the photo on the left, looks like you're removing a couple, like a tree and a stump, but you're not replacing any trees. Is that possible to include some canopy tree planting in the project?
Honestly, right now we're looking at using some of those areas for some of the stormwater, like a rain garden kind of thing, but we're still back and forth with the engineers and figuring it out with DEP. But if we do not use that space as a rain garden, we definitely will add more trees.
Great, thank you. And just to piggyback off the native planting comments before, definitely agree with that. And also just any way to introduce like native pollinator planting, just for kids' education, that would be great too. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Alfred. All right, I think that wraps it up. I want to thank you for your presentation. What do you need anything from us, or is this the final presentation before you'll go into final design? We'll see you
Yeah.
again, I think.
No, this is the final presentation, and we were looking for a letter of support.
Okay. I don't have a resolution on me. But I can put something together for the next meeting and we can discuss it there. I've got notes and I know it's getting late, so I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So I'd rather have a discussion of what next. I'll draft something and we can get something back to you with comments, if that works.
Sure. When do you have a timeline for that?
Our October meeting is already scheduled. It is the 22nd of October.
How is that, Tara?
We'll take it.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. And now we'll move on to our next topic, which is the North Riverdale Baseball and Softball League request for lighting in Ogarden Ball Field. Let's see, I gotta change around my co-host here.
Abigail Martin.
Deb, I sent a request to share.
Yeah, I think I just approved you.
Okay.
Co-host, I
Great.
made you a co-host, Abigail, so you should be able to share now.
Okay. Everybody see that?
Yep, I can see it.
Okay.
All right, you ready, Abby?
All right, the floor is
I'm
yours.
ready.
So I can't promise that the images in our presentation are as nice as the parks, but it is only 8 minutes long. So good evening, board members and everyone from the community here today, both in person and on Zoom. My name is David Zarnitsky. I'm the president of the North Riverdale Baseball and Softball League, or NRBL for short. And today I'm asking for your support in the board's vote in favor of a project for lights at Sitt Field. Just a little bit about the league. NRBL was founded in 1954. That picture's from 1955. That's what is now Sitt Field. And NRBL has been serving the local community with baseball and softball for boys and girls ages 4 to 16 for over 70 years. We do not play baseball in the winter because it's too cold. However, other than the winter, the league is active and Sitt Field is in constant use nearly every day from mid-March through mid-November. And just to orient everyone on Sitt Field, first here we have, this is the area of the Bronx represented by Community Board 8, and that red star is where Sitt Field is located. If we zoom in, we can see the entire block in North Riverdale where Sitt Field is located. You can see it's a fairly green area. bounded by Moshalou Avenue on the east, Riverdale Ave to the west, and then to the north and the south by West 256 and West 254th Street. Zoom in one more bit, and we can see that that block consists primarily, though not exclusively, primarily of community spaces. Obviously, Sid Field and Vinmont Park. We have the Riverdale Neighborhood House. There's just to the top of this picture is a branch of the New York Public Library, plenty of wooded area. And the exception to these community spaces being the several houses across the street, across Moshalou Avenue, labeled here as the Vinmont houses. I'd like to speak a little bit about the youth sports that take place at Sid Field. As some of these headlines show, and these are just a few examples, youth sports in general and Little League specifically has seen registration numbers drop dramatically over the past 2 decades. This drop has been especially sharp in urban areas, affecting our most vulnerable communities, even in our own backyard, our friends down in Harlem Little League. Against this backdrop, NERBL has seen consistent year-over-year growth in registration since prior to COVID, including the rebirth of its softball program and the introduction of fall baseball for the first time in NERBL's 70-year history. We've had to cap our registration, especially in our fall season, because we simply cannot get enough games and practices in due to lack of sunlight. Lights at Sid would make a big difference to the kids that play this game. NERBL, I feel, has been such a vital part of this neighborhood, and it shows in the broad and diverse support that we've seen for a project for lights at Sid. We had a petition going around. We've gotten over 576 signatures on that petition, including 492 from within the community board's catchment area. And several of the signers of that petition are residents of those houses, those Vinmont houses that I pointed out before. We also have support from another mainstay in the community, the Riverdale Neighborhood House. The executive director, Andrew Bolton, sent a very nicely worded, robust support of NERBL and of a project for lights at Sid. And we've also gotten support from several local businesses, including nearby Early Bird, and co-owner Heather Kim is here tonight. I think she's hoping to speak in support of it. In addition to being stewards of a youth baseball and softball league, we also always want to be good neighbors and of course understand why someone in our community would be against lights at Sid. So we've actually had a lot of conversation, talked to a lot of parents and a lot of neighbors, and just discussed what questions, a lot of it was just questions that they had and trying to come up with answers to them. I would start off by noting that New York City Parks Department already has a lights out curfew for the parks that they do have with lights. So there's no concern for really late night games. That just doesn't happen.
What is the curfew?
I believe it's 10 p.m.
Right, okay.
And while it's true that some of the older kids in our league don't play at Sid, so above 13, they need larger fields, so they play mostly down at Seton and South Riverdale. Despite that, we do have a critical mass of kids in the age group that do play on that field, and it's basically 6 years old to 13 years old. So make no mistake, this community is where NERBL lives, and Sid Field is our home. These games are not being played by adult leagues. These lights would be for games played by children and this community's children. Some have also brought up concerns of cars double parking at and around Sid Field during games and possibly making for unsafe driving conditions. And while double parking does sometimes occur, anyone who lives in North Riverdale knows throughout North Riverdale, you see double parking from time to time. I don't think it's, epidemic around Sid Field. And that kind of dealing with parking, we're all New Yorkers. It's a reality of living in the Bronx and a reality of games at Sid Field throughout the year. But really games under the lights at Sid is in the evening and would be at a time of day with greatly reduced traffic and reduced issues with parking. And with so many games that occur at Sid Field all the time, almost throughout the entire year, if that was a problem, you would expect to have incidents of accidents around there caused by double parking, but you'd be hard pressed to find any because there is not a history of accidents caused by California. And I think probably the conversation that came up the most in the conversations that we had was concern over glare from lights. If there were to be lights at Sid Field, glare with sports field designers, their technical term is light spillage, right? And they call it light spillage. Anytime light is hitting areas not intended to be lit, right? They call that light spillage. But I think really that's not a concern of today. It's a concern of 20 years ago. So 20 years ago, sports field lights used what were called metal halide lamps, right? And that's, so these lamps were energy inefficient and they sent light in all directions, creating glare or light spillage, as shown on the diagram on the left, are the old style. And you can see you have, when they turn it on, light just goes everywhere. And the little strip of picture up above, you kind of go get that glare that people would be concerned about. But field lighting technology has improved by leaps and bounds. Modern lights are 80% more energy efficient, and those lights can be focused and directed in a way unimaginable 20 years ago. And they reduce light spillage by over 90% compared to the lights from 20 years ago. And so I know when I introduced myself as the president of the North Riverdale Baseball and Softball League. But aside from simply being the president of this nonprofit youth sports organization, I'm also a father of a son and a daughter, both of whom play on that field or have played on that field. A husband, most importantly for purposes of this conversation we're having, I'm a good neighbor. And I, being a good neighbor, sometimes I make decisions as the president that do not benefit my kids or the teams they play on, but are in the best interest of the league and the community. Famously, my son will tell you the story. There was a time I traded away a star player to another team because the teams were unbalanced and it wouldn't be fair. And it was good for the league, but it was bad for my team. And my son is still angry at me about it. Being a good neighbor means asking every coach and spreading this question around. Are there any kids who might have trouble paying? And making sure those kids are on scholarship. Because we have a rule that no kid in our community should miss out on playing baseball due to money. And I think the same should hold true for a lack of sunlight. There are plenty of coaches and parents, some of whom I'm sure are on this Zoom, who get up at 6 a.m. after a heavy rain and meet at Sid Field with all the other coaches and parents to spend 2 hours clearing water off the field to make it playable for the day. And they do so even when their kid might not have a game that day. And you see that a lot. And speaking of kids, I mentioned both of mine. By the time this project were to be completed, my son and daughter, my son might be in college by the time I do, right? He's already in high school. They'll be aged out, so they'll never benefit from it. And they'll never play under the lights at Sid. So why am I even here having this conversation with you? I'm hopeful that it's clear that I'm not here as the president of NRBL or as a dad with kids playing on Sid Field, but as a good neighbor who loves this league and this community and wants what is the best interest of this community's kids. So in closing, just kind of summarize a little bit. NRBL brings a lot to this community and serves so many of its children. But as we've grown, it's become increasingly difficult to accommodate all of those kids, especially in the fall season when the daylight is limited and we have limited time that we can actually play. Where we have to cap registration because we just simply don't have enough field time. Adding lights to Sid Field would need more field time, more games, and more practice for more kids. And with New York City Parks already having that lights out curfew at 10 p.m., I believe, and modern field lighting technology, reducing light spillage by over 90% compared to what you would see 20 years ago, this can be done with minimal impact adding. So I'm asking for your support in your vote on this project, not just as Bronx residents or community board members, but as good neighbors. And that is all. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you for your presentation. What I would like to do tonight is to start with the members of the committee. If you have any questions for the North Riverdale baseball and softball league. And then I would like to go into about 10 or 15 minutes of comments or from the public who support the initiative. And then 10 or 15 minutes of comments from the public who are opposed to the initiative. And then, I'd like to give you an opportunity for just to address whatever the opposition is, and then come back to the committee to kind of discuss, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So let's just start off with the members of the committee. Anybody have any pressing questions, right off the top of your head?
Deb, wait a second, before we get going, do you want me to stop the presentation and so we can all see each other?
Sure.
Okay, and I'd also like to just, I'm not sure you know, but Senator Gustavo Rivera has joined the call.
Yeah, yep, I saw him. Welcome Senator Rivera.
You want to give the senator the first choice?
Um,
You want to see if the senator has any?
I don't know, I think the senator probably wants to hear everybody else first.
Certainly I figure the folks who are, the folks from the committee first. I'll speak whenever, I'll be here.
Yeah, great, thank you, appreciate it. So Bob, you had some comments, you had questions for the?
I do have some questions and have to begin with full disclosure, which is that I coached in the league for a number of years. Between mid to late 90s, it's been a little while, and 2006. My son played in the league. He became a coach later on too. But I come to this with an open mind. You know, there's a lot of questions here and I want to hear from everybody, but I do have some familiarity with the league. First of all, I have to say I'm pleased to hear that the enrollment has increased because it was decreasing for a number of years. Do you know, is there some particular reason why it swung around and increased again?
So I think the league has done a good job. I mean, I say as president, there's so many parents, and it's, as you know, it's all volunteer.
Right.
And so many parents and coaches who have put a lot of time into making the league a better place. So I think we've done this, we've expanded how we reach out to, you know, at least from my understanding, kind of, you could kind of reach out to PS 81, St. Margaret's, and you can kind of get your registration. And we've done a good job of expanding how we're reaching out to parents and to kids, and pulling in a broad see at a lot of little leagues is those little leagues losing registration to kind of these travel leagues, for-profit travel leagues.
Right.
And because they're offering some things that people don't, you know, there aren't kids who want to play all year round, and traditionally it had just been in the spring. So I think adding a fall season was a huge, deal. And so our fall season sometimes, at least for the majors and minors, which is kind of 10U, 12U, are almost as many players as in the spring season. And softball, yes, sorry, and softball as well. And so around the time that the registration was kind of sinking down, there was a point where there was no softball. There was at least a couple of years where there was not a single girl softball team.
I do remember that.
And so that was kind of relaunched with great effort, 2019, by my wife. And Nelly, yes. But really bringing that back to life at the same time that a lot of these other leagues were faltering.
Okay. So Sid right now is used by the majors, the 10 to 12-year-old boys, and softball as well.
So it's used by the minors and the majors.
It is.
So 8U or so 8U softball and instructional play. So the 8U girls softball play there on Sundays in the spring. The minors, which is 10U, play there in the spring. They play weekend games there, both in the spring and the fall. The majors play all of their games there. So you have a stretch of players and softball, I said softball, yes, from the age of kind of the youngest you would see in instructional is like 6, up to in the fall, some of the older majors might already have turned 13. So kind of 6 to 13 is kind of that. So the group of kids who never play there, T-ball never plays up there. There's Brown and Kelly.
Right.
And the ponies, so 14U and 16U.
Yeah, it's too small.
They're playing, depending on whether it's baseball or softball, they're playing either down at Kelly or at Seton Downs.
So is the field in use every day of the week?
Yes.
It is.
Yep.
Okay.
So
So on, during the school year, the games start at what time?
in the spring, at the beginning of the season, they start, it's a little bit earlier, either 5:30 or 5:45 is what time they start.
They start that late?
Yep. Mhm.
Why
And
don't,
so in the spring, in the fall, there's practices there, but we lose light too early to have games during the week.
Mhm.
So in the fall, the games are on the weekends
Mhm.
only, whereas in the spring, there's not a day that games don't occur.
but,
Just to jump in real quick on
Yeah,
just
sure.
how long is a game? For those who didn't coach.
Under 2 hours.
So about
So
an hour.
yeah, it's, with the umps won't start a new inning after an hour 40.
Oh,
So.
that's very good. Interesting.
but, in the spring, you don't, it's light enough, you should be able to start before 5 o'clock.
On the weekend,
Okay.
I think he's talking about. Parents have to get
Oh,
there, parents are
I'm s-
working,
Yeah.
The parents have to
the
bring
coaches
kids.
are working.
Yeah,
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 it's-
but I
it's-
mean, we're talking about the school day, right? We're talking about Monday to Friday?
Monday through Friday, so during the week, games will start 5:30, 5:45. As you get in the, much earlier in the, as you get later into the desire is always from the parents, they don't want a game starting at 5 if they can't get to them.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes 5:30, the volunteer parents who are coaching
And
umps are coming from their regular jobs to come do this. So if we schedule games at 5 and 5:30, they would have a lot of trouble getting to them. So we try to push them as late as possible. In the spring, we can't do that in the beginning of the spring. We have to, usually the first Saturday in April is the start of the season.
Right.
And we usually start off with games at 5:30 because the first week of April, if we start a game at 6, we lose the light before the game was.
Well, I mean, even at 5:30,
It's
you're going to.
the first week or two,
Yeah.
the games end up usually ending because of light.
Mhm. I'm certain that when I coached there, the game started before that. They started earlier in the afternoon. You know, somehow or other, the kids got there on their own. You know, it was, I mean, maybe now that catchment area, I don't know that that's the right term, but maybe larger than it was, and the kids can't just walk there from where they live. I mean, back in the day, the kids could walk there and they'd go home after school, change into their uniform, they'd be there at 4 o'clock for a game.
I would say that the
You couldn't even
area,
get an ump at 4 o'clock nowadays.
We did talk to Brian Downey.
No, but you guys and
So
kids
just to-
hired, we actually have.
No, I
Just to be clear, we don't really wanna do a lot of crosstalk. I'll call on you if you wanna speak. Yeah, right now we're just.
so,
But I mean, I understand the light problem now, if you're starting the games at 5 or 5:30, yeah, you're going to have.
but that's in the spring, right?
Right.
In the spring, we do have that issue, and I think the area serviced by NERBL has expanded
Yes.
as well, so
Yes.
it's covering much more of the Community Board 8 catchment area than I think the
Right.
league was doing, 20, 15 years ago.
I'm sure that's right.
So is the request then really you wanna be able to start games at roughly 6 o'clock in the spring, and then these games would go till about 7:30? Then you want lights then in the field on until 7:30 or 8?
So it's two things. In the spring, earlier on, it's having the ability to go, I mean, already by the end of the spring season, it's still light out at 8:15, 8:30. Those games are going. There's, even if there were lights, there wouldn't be
You don't
another
need
game
Right.
other there. So it's the ability to do that earlier in the season. And then in the fall, we can't play during the week at all. Because
Right.
it gets dark far too early. So it's really the ability to have a much more robust fall season and to have additional gameplay during the spring.
So really what I'm getting at is how, because you mentioned the lights out program that the Parks Department has at 10 o'clock.
Yep.
10 o'clock is kind of late, and especially late for little kids. So I guess I'm trying to probe if the ask is to have lights on until 7:30, which is just, I think, different potentially. We'll see. We'll hear from the other side as well, the people who are opposed to this. But is the
I think they're frozen.
Yeah, am I the only one not hearing anything?
No, they're back.
Oh, they're there. Okay, sorry.
So that the standard that Parks has is 10. I think that that could be a conversation. I think 7:30 is far too early. I think we want to be able, the goal is to be able to have a game that starts at 6 and goes to 8. But you know, even after that game finishes, there's cleaning up the field, and they, you know, rake the dirt and throw everything away, and there's a good amount of time that transpires after that.
Right.
And then the entirety of the fall season as well.
So are you saying the latest you would imagine the game going is about 8 o'clock at night?
right, and
Approximately.
maybe need the lights for another half hour till 9 at the latest.
The clean. Yeah, I mean, I think,
Clean and to pick up.
so, come up with what, I think that the league wants to work with the community to figure out what the best way to do this is, right? And so we're still at that stage.
Okay.
Without question, having the lights would extend the time that we could play in the spring and give us the ability to play it all during the week in the fall. Even having lights to that time that you're talking about would completely transform the fall season.
So how late into the fall is it to, I noticed that like you were considering playing in the spring, starting in kind of March, it sounded like, is that?
So practices begin in March, the season starts the first week in April and goes to the end of June. We have kind of summer sandlot during the summer, and then the fall season starts the first Saturday in September and goes through the playoffs, I think, a week or so, a week and a half into November.
Okay. And then do you share this field with other little leagues?
We do not. So the way, I mean, for those not kind of very familiar with the way the New York City Parks does permitting, we're currently kind of the incumbent renewing permit holder, full-time permit holder. So we have all of the hours of the permits. Parks kind of gives us full access to it because the league does almost all of the maintenance of the field. They come, they turn on the water, they turn off the water, they drop off clay for the field. Almost everything else gets done by the league, by some people who are even in this room, and almost, that's mowing the field, taking the garbage out, cleaning it up. We pay for a sports field specialist to come every spring and kind of redo the infield to make it playable for the season, et cetera. So with that, the way the renewing permits work is, youth leagues are given precedence over adult leagues and nonprofits over for-profits, and renewing incumbents get precedent as long as those two things get precedent. So we have those permits, but at the same time, there are many other organizations and people that use the field that we work with to make sure that we will schedule around those things. So I know the Riverdale Kingsbridge Business Corporation, they do the Easter egg hunt there. PS 81 has field days there. For a time, RNH was using it. I know that, councilperson Eric Dinowitz does movie nights, and other local politicians do. So
Right.
we kind of work with the community to make sure that, even though we're constantly using it, that we'll carve out the time and make sure others can make use of it as well.
So have you spoken to, Councilmember Dinowitz about the lights or the need for light?
We have, yes.
Yeah.
I actually just spoke to Eric.
Uh-huh.
We were texting, he had a child commitment, but he wanted, us to know that he wants people here to know that he's going to want to write a letter of support and that kids deserve to play in the light. And he just wants to know everybody knows. He wants everybody here to know that he does support the project, but he just couldn't zoom in tonight because of childish.
Okay, all right, great, thank you, appreciate that.
And one other question, have you spoken to anybody in the Parks Department at this point about this specific subject?
We have, yeah.
I think they're
It
frozen
keeps-
again.
We need to
Yeah,
tell
it
them. We need to
keeps
tell them.
Yeah.
We need to tell 'em.
freezing.
This is normal. They go in and out because they have
It's the
bad Wi-Fi.
yeah, it's the Wi-Fi. It glitches.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
We've been trying to figure out, the
Gotcha.
system, but we are in a basement in the building, so.
Yeah, Farrah,
You guys
can
froze out.
you can tell people not to use their phones. That adds an extra load.
There we go, all right.
Got it. So, of course, they, to enter into that, okay, maybe we can get funding from the state. They're supportive of it and want to do it. They need to know what is the cost, what is the estimate. So a conversation was had with Parks. Hey, this is what we want to do. The state is looking to fund it. What is an estimate? And Parks rightfully said, we're not going to do that until we've heard from Community Board 8 on it. And that's why we're having this conversation.
Yeah, so
So
Deb, I'm still on the line. This is Catherine. I'm Director of Capital for the Bronx, Commissioner Ponte's office. And what he is saying is absolutely correct, and that's why I had sent the email a few weeks ago asking, I think they froze again, asking about the lighting at Sid Field. And in order for us to do anything, we would need a letter of support from the community board and from elected officials as well. Because yeah.
And if I may a second, just because I certainly would, this could actually be my bit here. So I have not, it's one of the reasons, it's one of the projects that I'm considering funding. At this point, I have not funded it, but this discussion, the community board needed to happen. If it's something that ultimately is not supported by the community board, no reason for us to even consider supporting it, or funding it. But I'm here to kind of hear the back and forth. I'm certainly very much leaning in support of it right now. But just so you know, the funding is not there right now. But if it is something that is ultimately approved by the community board as far as in concept, then certainly the conversation is going to continue as far as me potentially funding it. Thank you.
All right, great, thank you so much. Kat, I have the question about the lights. They had mentioned that there have been a lot of innovations. I mean, I've seen it at big stadiums and stuff. But what are the Parks Department options when it comes to lighting baseball fields like this and little league fields?
So it honestly, and I think Senator Rivera's office had asked about that, and it varies by field, right? I think I was trying to look for the email. There was a question about a specific type of light, which was compared to some other field in another borough. And my response to that was just that we would have to study the site and see what is the best option for it. So yeah.
So, how expensive, I mean, I don't really have a sense of how expensive these kinds of projects are. Is this considered a relatively small project? Or is it surprisingly expensive like a dog run?
It depends. It depends. It could go, it all would, like, I wouldn't be able to say, I wouldn't even be able to give you a close estimate as to how much it would be because we would have to, because of the study, we would have to study the site and see how many lights, the utilities of the site and the electricity that would be needed. So that all goes into effect.
Right. Right, because one of the things I will say that stood out to me in hearing about the issues that you were having was that we do have other places in the district that have baseball, little league fields that are nowhere near houses, not in smaller residential areas where they don't have lights either. And it made me like Marble Hill or in Bailey, next to Bailey Playground.
Yeah.
Um,
Field.
So it made me wonder if those little leagues are also having issues with having enough hours, or if there would be more little leagues who could use those fields if there was just more available slots. So I thought that was interesting. So it made me wonder whether it was an expensive project or not to request or put into our budget priorities. Is there any other questions for the group before I open it up for folks to? Yeah.
I have a question, but we may not know the answer to it. It was about installation and how that would affect the neighborhood while it was being installed. It seems like we don't have a plan, just based off of what she was saying, that we don't know exactly what type of lights would go in, but what would that look like in theory? Do you have an idea? Would we be ripping up the streets? Would we be like, what would that look like to install that type of light?
That all would go into consideration because it's a capital project. It's a full reconstruction. It's not just, bringing lights to the site and placing them. We would have to dig. It's a construction project. So yeah.
But then would it likely also include refurbishing or reconstructing the ball fields?
If
Like, is there
if that's something that the funder wants to include in the scope, then yes, absolutely. It would make sense. Yeah.
Right, it makes sense to do both at the same time.
Yep.
Sorry, just to piggyback off of that, would that actually take the field offline for a season or a
Yes.
season and a half?
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
For as long as the construction project is going. Yep.
Carol, do you have anything? Bob, anything?
Not at the moment.
Okay, so I'm gonna open it up first to, what did I say first? I was gonna do folks who support it. Yeah, it's gonna do folks who support it first, so we got all the support together. So are there, if you raise your hand, if you like to speak in favor of this project and having lighting at the I got one, I've got Ulysses, and I've got Carlos. Now I'm gonna start in the room. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Jennifer Vasquez Hilly. I have two daughters that play softball at Sid Field, and my oldest have been playing for 2 years now, and they love it. I think it would be great to have the lights, just for the reasons that David had mentioned earlier, that we can, it basically would extend what's already happening. So it wouldn't change much as far as the community adding more cars, more traffic, and it would just allow the kids to be able to do their games and have practices more, especially in the fall season when it gets darker earlier. I love that they love softball so much, and the boys that play baseball, and that they're on devices less and doing things that are good community, team building, task solving, working together in group sports and activities. I see, how much the enrichment does for them and all the kids, and I'm also a mental health professional, and I work with kids and adults, and just seeing kids do things that are good for them like this, as opposed to what they're not learning when they're just on screens. It's just really a wonderful thing for the community and for all the kids in it, so.
Great, thank you for that. Ulysses.
Yes, hi, how are you? Can you hear me all right?
We can hear you just fine. The floor is yours.
Yeah,
Uh-oh. We're not
Or
hearing you
is-
just fine.
can you hear me all right? There we go.
Yes.
All right, there you go.
I wasn't intending on speaking. I was just raising my hand, but I guess I can say my piece here. I'm a local resident in the neighborhood 10 years. Both of my daughters play One is 6, one is 9. I coach. I've been coaching for, 3 years now. I coach a travel team. It's beyond what you see on the surface as far as why we need the lights and extending time for the fall. The program is growing, and softball, I can speak specifically on softball. It's to the point where, we have coaches that care so much, and it's such a tight-knit community. And, I know Jen, she was just speaking. We all know each other. I've coached her daughter. When you think about what we're offering here, it's the ability to have these girls play for free. My daughter does play on a travel team that I pay $3,000 for. They have access to a facility with a HitTrax machine that can give them exit velocity and all this data that unfortunately local little leagues just don't have the resources to provide. And we have coaches that care. One of our coaches, Jesse, he's a good friend of mine. We're able to provide these girls top quality training, right? At no cost. And so we might be thinking about the games, but we're also able to practice for longer and offer the field as a resource to these girls who want to get there and get more reps, where typically that would have to cost a normal 9-to-5 working parent, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year just to get private lessons so that these girls can get better. We're able to offer that, but we can't offer that if we don't have the time for it, and we just don't have the time for it. We don't have the fields for it. We're always working with each other, trying to figure out how can we get a field. Are you taking this field today? And we're able to get it done because we're such a close-knit community. But we have girls right now. I see people asking about North Riverdale softball. People are asking to come play for us because they know that they're getting better training for the cost, which is nothing. We have coaches that care, and that's the bigger picture. How do we keep this growing if we don't have the ability to provide more to the community? And I think the lights would just give us just more time for the girls, more time for the parents, getting out of work, rushing to a 6 o'clock game. And that's asking to get off early just to still make it barely in time for your kid to not even be able to warm up because they got there for first pitch. It's such a high stress situation for parents, and the girls probably don't notice it because they're just playing softball and it's fun. But rest assured that they would love to be able to have more time on the field. The parents would have such a relief, knowing that they don't have to rush to these games because the time sun is not an issue. And if you can just hear this out and hear the community and see the up showing and support it, that would be wonderful. Those are my 2 cents, and I think I'll just be quiet from here on out. But thank you all for the time today, and North Riverdale, thanks for showing up. I love you all.
Are they frozen? Jen, who?
Now we're back. Carlos, let me try to have you unmute again. Are you able to speak?
Yeah, I'm done now.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Why don't we move on to Andrew because he has a child who probably needs to get to bed.
Yeah, it's getting close to bedtime. Thank you everyone for the chance to speak. We'll be quick because I know there's a lot of people in favor of this. Both my son and my daughter have spent many seasons playing at Sid Field, have grown up as people, as athletes. I'm very proud of both of them. This young woman right here started softball when she was 9 playing at Sid Field. She's now playing for 14U Travel, and she's going to be playing for RKA in the spring, we hope. So this is a local kid, and she just wants to say kind of a few words about the lights at Sid Field.
Yeah, so I think if we had lights at Sid Field, like we could all play longer. And even if I don't get to see it, like if I age out when the lights eventually get installed, I think kids who are younger, like I've worked with the 8U kids before, I've helped coach them. I think that would be like really amazing for those girls to have more opportunities to play longer and to just like experience the game and make the memories that I made when I was 9, because it's really an amazing league, and I have so much fun playing in it every week, and I've made like actually long-lasting friendships. So I think the lights could really add to the experiences for those girls and for the playtime too.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you, guys. I think we've lost Carlos, so we'll move on to Amelia.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Amelia Chavez. I have been a longtime Riverdale resident for 46 years. I didn't play at Sitfield only because I had no athletic ability, but maybe I would have had there been lights at night and I could have practiced more. So that is my first testament. That is more as just a normal resident. But I'm also president of the Riverdale Kiwanis, and many of the students that we reach out through painting contests and everything play at Sitfield, and we can attest to the effect that's playing and the sponsorships and really bringing the community together and having those days extend even further and the positive impact that they have on the students. So we are in full support of the lights at Sitfield.
Okay, all right, thank you, Amelia. So now I'm gonna shift over to folks who are opposed to this initiative, because the office did receive a letter with a petition of folks on the other side. So if folks, please raise your hand if you'd like to speak against the having lights on Sitfield. I see Amelia. Are you Sasaj was on? Yeah. Anybody in the room want to speak?
Well, I just
so
see
I'll do.
Mike Sebastis.
I see Laura and Tab. Anybody else?
I see Michael is waving.
Michael, okay.
Maybe he's having trouble technically raising.
That's okay. Well, I see that cat's really judging him hard too.
He's hungry. He wants me to feed him. It's not dinner time yet, though. He already ate earlier. Don't let him fool you.
All right, well, I'll let Michael go first because he's obviously got some household commitments, and then I'll go on to Laura, and then I'll go to Tab. So
All
Michael,
right.
the floor is yours.
Yeah, no, so I live directly across the street from the baseball field, 5460. So I would be directly affected by this, both construction wise and through the use of the field more often. I saw on one of the slides, it said no history of traffic or parking issues. I mean, unless you live there, how would you know if there was parking or traffic issues? Yeah, there certainly is. We have the pool, we have R&H, we have drop-offs for the preschool. It's if you want to imagine what it would be like with lights there, just go there during a pickup or drop-off time at R&H, and that's how many cars, double and triple parking, waiting for 15 minutes to go through one light, being late to work because there's buses and cars double parked, triple parked. It's I couldn't imagine. And then there's been other times during baseball games where my driveway will be blocked. You know, I might not use my driveway often, but you know, I should totally have access to my driveway at all times. So that's an issue that I've had in the past, certainly. In this, how many teams are registered to play in the NERBL? Because I played in NERBL myself from the minors. I did the whole age, everything until I was done. I played in high school in New Rochelle for my high school, and I made it to games at NERBL during high school, to my NERBL games after playing a game in high school. So I'm confused as to how lights would even be needed. And so I'm in complete opposition of the lights. To me, there's so many other options of places to play. You've got the fields that are down by the stables where we played when we were younger. You have Kelly Field, you have Seton Park, you have the field by Carroll. I mean, there's so many options that are right there. And like I said, if you got creative and used the fields by the stables, you know, there's a lot of options. And the scheduling really sounds ridiculous to me. I'll be honest with you. Starting games at 6 p.m. I mean, like Bob Bender already said, I would get directly from school to the game. You know, I'm very confused, from New Rochelle. So yeah, and that's on the train, you know, so I don't know. Anyway, that's what I have to say. I'm in opposition. I played in NERBL the entire time. I think it's amazing, but I don't think lights are needed. Maybe in a field that served more of the players, but for it to be such a young age group just seems like it's a waste of capital, and it would have a huge impact on a residential area. You know, that area is not an area where there's businesses really, you know, it's homes. So We've also got the Russian Mission there with a lot of traffic. So there's a lot to consider here. Thank you, and that's all I have to say.
Great, thank you, Michael. Okay, listen, he's, he muted himself, okay.
I can't respond now.
No. But, I did want to follow up on two of his questions. How many teams are in the league?
In this past year, in spring, there were 36 teams.
36 teams, gotcha. Okay.
You counting?
That's the entire league, right?
Counting travel?
Is that fall and spring
So that's just
combined?
in the spring season.
That's the
There's
spring season.
36 teams.
Okay, and then how many in the fall, or do you not really have, you have an abbreviated fall, like what do you do now for the fall?
In the fall, it's the same season, just we don't do T-ball, we don't do the much younger kids. So in the fall season, it's about that, so in the fall. No, more than half that, it's about 22 in the fall.
22 teams, so, currently in the fall.
Yeah.
Do you just not go very late into the fall, or like, do you
No, we go-
schedule your games earlier, like how do you accommodate the darkness?
So the fall season is from the first weekend in September through usually 2 weeks into November.
Mhm.
And so we're only able to play like games on the weekend.
Oh, you only play on the weekends,
Yeah.
gotcha, okay. And then so I guess no league is playing there at night, essentially, after dark, during the
After
weekday.
dark, yeah,
It's
I
not
mean,
like somebody else
so
is using it now
really
during the
they'll
weekday.
get some practices in, but you do have, the issues with that, of course, are the parents who are volunteering to coach. Many of them do work
Right.
jobs that they can't get back from. There was one person who mentioned, rushing home just to get to that 6 o'clock. That's a reality, is a lot of parents are rushing home and for the parents who are coaching. That's why they're.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank you, I just wanted to check. Laura, you wanna go next? And then we'll go
well,
Pam,
I'll go next.
unless you wanna do last, do you wanna go last? Former chair of the community board A. You wanna go last?
And in full disclosure, Vinmont resident.
Vinmont resident.
Where I might say, 99% of the, tenants and homeowners at Vinmont are opposed to this and, to the lights in the field. I've lived there for over 50 years on Marshall Avenue. And clearly, there's an impact on quality of life in a residential neighborhood. It seems that, the double parking and the blocking of driveways, and you can't even find a spot in the area when there's a game. And there's a lot of lingering and partying, which is a good thing, after games. A half an hour after a game is nothing, as far as the parents. And I also want to say that I congratulate the Little League for the fabulous work that they do, for the wonderful way they take care of the field, because I'm up early and I see you guys out there working the field. And I think, this is nothing negative about the Little League. It's just that you have a bigger catchment area, you have parents where the kids are not walking, you have more cars. And it wasn't clear to me that somebody else, once you have once you have lights, that they can't get a permit. Are you the only group that gets
Currently.
permits?
Yes.
Currently, but
Yeah.
with the addition of night lights, and I'm a senior, 10 o'clock is late for me. I can't be sure that.
Her
if-
birthday, she's 77.
No, no. We can't be sure that it's going to be 8 o'clock, 8:30. That's not, that to me, you have to know that it could be open till 10 o'clock with the lights. But let me just go back a little bit. When the request for installing lights was debated over 20 years ago, a big issue, and the reason it was rejected then, was the size of the field. Sid Field is only for elementary school students. Middle school and high school cannot play on Sid Field.
That's not true.
Well,
No crosstalk, sorry.
yeah, that's my understanding of the divisions, that they went to Kelly Field in Van Cortlandt or Seton. And I'm not saying to put lights anywhere else for the, for quality, I'm not advocating that, but the older divisions don't play on Sid Field. And so why put lights where you don't have the biggest bang for your buck? And it's a lot of bucks. It's very expensive. So, you know, that seemed to be the issue years ago, and the size of the field hasn't changed. It doesn't seem that that's where it would make sense to put it. I'm glad that it's not as bright and it's not as light as what I have seen, because I've gone by fields that have had night lights and you could see it way, way far away. And, you know, it's a small residential neighborhood. It's going to make an impact. That will make an impact. The field is located less than 300 feet. I think it's 267 feet from the Henry Hudson Parkway exit 22. The cars come by very, very fast. The kids are getting in and out. It's the double parking, the triple parking, the ice cream man. The street is virtually closed, practically closed off at many times. I mean, I've lived there over 50 years. I love the Little League, daytime games, the noise, everything. It's fine. But nighttime, extending the hours makes it very, very difficult for the residents. So I think that respectfully, we oppose the extension in that field. And I have some other questions. The after game activities that often happen, which are wonderful, because I mean, it is very social, the parents, the kids, it's wonderful. But it goes on. So to think that it's over at 8:30, 9, it's just, I don't think that's realistic. And I do think that there possibly will be more permit requests. We can't rule that out. You know, so, and like you said, anything that even is said right now, we're gonna have different parents, different students, kids, different board of directors, but the lights are permanent, you know? Other things will change. This is not anything against the Little League, which, you know, I have tremendous respect for. But it's very, very difficult. And I don't know why this kind of investment would go into a field that all of the Little League players can't use because of the size of the field. Anyway, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Lauren.
I think there
I
are.
think Tab.
Vinmont, who's for it, speak?
Oh, no, we just had four people who were in favor of it speak, and so now we're having.
Oh, no, but we're talking about Vinmont residents that oppose it. We actually have someone from Vinmont.
No, but
I'm sure you do.
That's okay.
I do.
That's okay.
I said 99%.
We can discuss this like civilly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, let me run the meeting the way I want to run the meeting for, and then we can.
Yeah, but we can discuss this offline.
Yeah. And also just, I want to be fully transparent. I don't think we're gonna decide anything tonight. Really, what we're doing tonight is we're airing everything. We're getting our questions answered. I'm sure there's gonna be follow-up questions. And then we're gonna come back in October and then we'll make, so, you know, if we'll decide if we're gonna do a letter or what the next steps are, but I don't want anybody to feel a time pressure. I know also it's late, right? But I do want to kind of give even space to both sides. So, so I appreciate the support. I'm gonna let Tab go, and then Deidre, and then we'll come back to having some kind of final wrap up from the North Riverdale's baseball and softball league. I'll have that by the end of the night. Tab, would you like to say a few words in opposed to the lights on the field?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Yeah, thank you.
All right, I'm Tab Buckner. I moved into the Vinmont apartment with my parents in 1963, so I know I'm dating myself. I've always been a very strong supporter of the league. I'm delighted they're still there doing what they're doing. I also support nighttime activities such as at Neighborhood House, but I do have some of the concerns that Laura and others have expressed. I'm not convinced that the lighting will be efficiently partitioned so that it's not going to affect people, not just in Vinmont, but also in the winter months when the leaves are off the trees. It can affect homes in Riverdale Avenue as well. So that is a concern of mine. You know, when people are putting their kids together at an early hour, when it's dark, and there's still a glare, that is a concern of mine. Also, what Laura mentioned about safety. It was mentioned earlier in the meeting about no history of accidents, but of course, they've always been at daytime, these games. And I am concerned that when these cars are coming off the parkway very fast on a regular basis, that it could have a negative impact on people in the dark. So these are safety issues. These are quality of life issues. I completely support what the league does. I think they're doing great work. But my hope is that if they want to extend hours in the evenings when it's dark out, that they find other locations to do it in. So thank you for that, and appreciate you all being here.
Great, thank you, Tab. And Deidre, you're already unmuted.
Okay, hi, thanks a lot. In full disclosure, I was a member of the board of directors of the North Riverdale Little League. I was the player agent. And I have to say that the current crop of kids and parents are much nicer than those who were there when I was active in the field. I haven't seen anybody berating kids, as I think Bob will verify this, and he was a fantastic coach and extremely respectful, but it wasn't always as respectful a league as it is now. That said, I do have a history, a knowledge and a history of both the park and the league. What I'm suggesting is a kind of more cost-effective answer, and it has to do with scheduling. Little League has access to 4 fields at any given time. It's Carroll, there's 2 diamonds at Kelly, and Sid. My feeling is that with scheduling and a probably more efficient use of Kelly, you could solve a lot of your problems. The other notion about Sid is I guess it was about 2013, 2016. And when my son was playing there, we had a huge issue with drainage. The Parks Department spent a large amount of money. The contractor redid drainage at Sid 3 times, and it's probably pretty complicated under there. So before you're going to rip up the field to put in lights, you're probably going to have to respect all of the drainage that was in there. And it's really pretty complicated. Culverts, or whatever they call them in there, to keep home plate dry are really pretty significant. In terms of traffic.
So I just want to call the meeting back to order. We were frozen probably to you, and our Zoom restarted. So we missed what Deidre said.
Okay, good. I got to practice.
Would you mind just repeating? That would be great. And Bob Bender asked if you could start with the part where he was a great coach.
Okay. Actually, he was an absolutely amazing coach. He made sure that those kids cleaned up after themselves. Extraordinarily respectful, and every kid got equal playing time, even if they weren't so great. And incredibly fair. But I think what I said before that was that this group of parents is much more respectful than those. I got involved because some of the parents were so horrible to the kids and so aggressive. That was why I got involved. And like I said, I was the player agent. In terms of the larger catchment, it's a caveat. Williamsport, if you're going to have competitive games, your kids have to be North Riverdale kids. And, so going on. But if you have 36 teams and you've got 4 fields, so you've got 9 teams with playing time on 4 fields, you've got 9 teams for each of those 4 fields, and maybe you get more time at Sid. But I do think that this could be handled with really scheduling. And keep in mind, this is a wonderful group of people. In a few years, you're all going to graduate out, and promises that you make, the next group of people may not keep. I am concerned because the beginning of the presentation said lights on till 10 o'clock. As a school administrator, I really wouldn't want my kids coming to school after being out till 10 o'clock playing baseball, but that's a total aside. I think I don't know if you heard, I mentioned the incredible work that the Parks Department did 10, probably 15, 20 years ago to keep home plate dry. The drainage was done and redone, and it's a pretty complicated drainage system under there. So if you're going to dig up the field to put in lights and electricity, you're going to damage the drainage, I think. In terms of about 3 weeks ago, I think it was a Saturday, people tend to double park at the end of 255th Street. I watch kids snaking across with their backpacks and their bats to walking in between the cars. If you're going to have them there later, you're going to have more cars coming off the highway. It is a safety issue. And I know parents look out, but nobody seems to want to walk half a block. So the cars are all double parked around Sid, and it really is complicated for youngsters walking to the field. And I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but you guys are wonderful and your coaches are wonderful. But in 2 or 3 years, when you all graduate out, I don't know if people will keep the promises. And absolutely, it is too late to have the lights on till 10 o'clock. And the presentation opened up with the consideration of lights on till 10 o'clock. So I feel for a number of reasons. Oh, my last thing is, in order to get better bang for your buck, you have 2 diamonds at Kelly. And the older kids can play at Kelly. So it might behoove people, if you're going to spend this amount of money for lighting, that you put it on the field where you have more diamonds and a greater play. I've also spoken to a couple of kids in the neighborhood, and they would like the Parks Department to do other things. And, so there's a lot of competition for the Parks dollar. But let me close with, I really appreciate what you do, and I really appreciate how respectful your coaches are to the kids. And I also really appreciate that you guys do clean up after yourselves, because in years past, the garbage that was left behind would blow down the block to me. But the league may change, you may have fewer kids, and the lights are forever. And it's a big hit on the community that's right there. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Deidre. I had a couple of questions just based on the comments of the folks who are opposed. One of the issues they raised was that you would be opening up additional capacity during the week. So right now, you're already playing between 6 and 8 in the spring. Is that essentially true?
Yeah.
And then, so that's from first week of April through June. We've already established a pattern of play that we could look back on and see, has that had an impact on the community? Is that fair?
Yep.
If we open up the additional capacity during the fall, how many nights would you anticipate needing it for yourself versus it would be available for other groups?
I mean, I just.
Would you be, in other words, would you need it all 5 evenings, or would there be additional capacity that other groups might need?
I think that our fall season is kind of truncated because of the lack of light. And so the goal would be to have as robust a fall season as we do a spring season, where we would have the capacity to use all of the permit slots, all of the slots in there.
So in the spring, you're every night during the week,
Yeah.
and then also on the weekends?
On the weekends. And we could easily use that capacity. As I said earlier, though, we're constant, and because the relationship that Nerval has with parks is you know, the SID is actually locked when not in use, and that was decided by Parks to do a long time ago, just because people would get in there at night and stuff like that. So
And
we,
the dogs.
yeah,
Yeah.
especially that. So we do have that kind of working relationship with Parks in maintaining the field. But as I said, we work with every group in the community to make sure that all the other organizations in the community that need that, that we schedule around those.
So are you a 501c3 with a
We are.
board and?
Yes.
Do the parents, how many people attend a game? Like how many kids and parents, like how large of a group are we talking about?
So, you know, a team is 12 and 12, it's 24. You know, you might have 30 people watching a game, 40 people watching a game.
So 40 people watching plus the players?
Yeah, maybe 30.
The players are on the field.
Yeah, the players are on. So the inside SID, but outside SID, you know, you might have 20, 25 along Moshulu, and then you have kind of those benches around the back, that trail that kind of goes behind.
I'm just like, how many more people do you have in the area because of the game versus if there's no game?
50.
Okay. And then do these 50 people use the businesses in the area and go to Early Bird, go to?
They do.
Okay, like, right.
A lot of them go to Dino's too.
And Emiliano's.
Right. And- I didn't know you were behind me. Right. Anybody on the committee have any other questions for the?
Yeah, I do have one.
Yeah.
Carroll Field,
Yep.
do you use it at all?
We do.
You do?
Yeah, but
For
that,
games or for practice? I know that. You play games there too.
Where's it located?
It's all the way up at the end
yeah,
of the
so
park.
Perry Field, if you go up like another 2 blocks.
Oh, not 2 blocks. If you go up another 20 feet, you're in Yonkers. Yeah,
Okay.
but it's all the way up at the end of Broadway,
Oh.
at the north end of the park. We used it sometimes for practice. The problem was back then, and I haven't looked at it for a while, the fence didn't run all the way along Broadway, so the ball was constantly rolling out into Broadway. And, you know, we had to keep the kids from running out into Broadway to retrieve a
Yeah, I mean,
baseball.
while they're both fields that are space that we use because we need space,
Right.
both Carroll and Kelly Fields, you know, they're not as nice as playing at Citi Field.
No.
And so, you know, it's, while the 12U, all their games are at Citi Field. The 10U are the minors, they play some games down at Kelly.
Mhm.
And it's kind of a prize that they get to play on the weekends. So it's a big deal to get to play there.
So it's not the case that it's unused and you could be using it,
Correct.
you're using it already.
We are.
Okay,
Well, so the difference there is that, both with Kelly and to a much greater extent with Carroll, there are other organizations that are permitted for those fields.
that's right. Well, I mean, Kelly, of course, has the bar leagues on Sunday.
And we only have a small slice of the permits at Carroll, whereas with SID, we have 100% of it.
Right,
So
okay,
it's just a different.
okay,
kind of a
thanks.
different piece.
Yeah.
And then as far as permits go,
Yes,
how much do permits cost?
if you're a youth nonprofit, they do not cost anything.
Oh, they're free.
If you are a for-profit, there is a cost to them. I forget what that is,
Right,
but there's a cost to them.
gotcha, okay. And then also just, I think I followed it, that, so Kelly Field is a full, what we consider a full-size baseball field, or?
No, so what you have, so in Seton Park.
How many different sizes are there?
I-
And then also is softball the same size or is softball a whole other thing? I don't-
So with baseball, you have the little league size, what is that, Sid Field, which is 4660, right? So that
We'll
means,
call it small.
yeah,
It's
let's just call
small.
it small, there's small, right? And that's all, the ages up through 13 are at that size.
Okay,
And then there's kind of a medium size that is, you know, 12, 13 or 14 will play. And then there's the big size that is the size that major leagues play and high school plays, and our ponies play down in Seton Park in South Riverdale, because they have 60-90. That's kind of the big size. And what we've actually been able to do So while the intended size of Sid Field is for the small size, we've actually gotten to be a little clever, and we've been able to kind of shift things around to be able to do the medium size. And so we've done some medium sized games there for 50-70.
So it's Sid Field, you do, so you're able to do kind of small size games and medium sized
Yeah.
games, and then is softball kind of roughly the same in terms of age bracket and, or is?
Can I pass that question to the softball
Yes.
commissioner?
That's-
Are-
so we've just established a kind of a small, medium, and
Oh,
large size
our-
baseball fields. Is it roughly the same for softball? or
Our
is it-
our AU girls,
Yeah,
our rec AU girls, our travel AU girls,
AU means under 8 years old, right? Okay.
they all play at Sid Field. Our 10U rec girls, which we have 2 teams, and our 10U travel team plays at Sid Field.
Right.
Our 2 12U teams, rec, and our 12U travel team plays at Sid Field.
Right.
That's not it.
So they're
They
all
all
playing,
at Sid.
they're playing the small,
They
because
all,
they're
yeah,
under
so
13.
Now, these teams, these travel teams, the softball teams didn't exist in 2019. The travel teams are also new to softball and baseball, because baseball has plenty of travel teams that also play at Sid Field.
Yeah,
So this is
the
all-
14-year-old, like your.
14U plays down at our
They
14U
play
travel
Kelly?
play at Kelly, but actually, they avoid playing at Kelly altogether. They actually choose to not even play home games. They'll play away in Yonkers and Westchester, because they're play, because we honestly don't wanna invite teams to play at Kelly Field.
So Stephanie Ehrlich is on the call. Why do you not like to have, I mean, and I don't mean that as like, don't say bad things in front of
I'm not,
Stephanie. I'm saying it's a
and
good
I know
moment to-
Stephanie very well.
Yeah, it's a good moment to like just get the
I know
feedback.
Stephanie very well,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like, the fields in Westchester are just maintained on a daily basis.
I got you.
And it's not possible because of their budget to maintain those fields on a daily basis.
Right.
Which we completely understand.
Right. It's a
So
part
we
of
actually
this.
choose to
Okay.
play most of our home games out in Westchester
Gotcha, okay,
against teams.
okay. That's very
14-year.
helpful to understand.
Yeah,
How
and
that
I
stuff
am,
breaks
I
down.
am, I have a very good relationship with Steph.
Yeah, no, Stephanie's great. We have a
Yeah,
great relationship with her as well. So that makes sense.
But I
It's a budget.
understand
I wasn't sure if it was a
the
budget
predicament.
issue,
I
or
definitely
if it was
understand
a
the
bar, it
predicament
was a
that she
bar
did.
league issue. Yeah,
Yeah.
right, okay. Yeah, oh, perfect, thank you. All right, Bob, did you have any other questions? I feel like I might have hijacked some of your questions.
No, so, as far as the games themselves go, you don't see them going beyond 9 o'clock at night, is that fair to say?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know whether, how the lights are programmed. Whether, the lights to research, yeah.
I believe they're usually based on, like, lights on the field won't be turned on unless they're permitted. So that's my understanding, but definitely something to check into. I believe they're only permitted to 9, that they would shut off at that point, but
Yeah.
we can, that's something that we would.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've got to get some information from the Parks Department.
Yep.
Okay.
One last question, amplified sound. Do you use any amplified sound for anything?
No.
All right. I think that, David, do you have a question?
Yeah, as a lifelong athlete, and I even currently work on getting lit fields for my soccer teams, my adult soccer teams. But all through growing up, there was always an issue about night sports for kids. And we burnt off a lot of steam in the gym and whatnot at night. And I think there is great value to the community, making sure that kids are playing ball or hanging out with their parents and talking about the game or their neighbors or whatever. I think the community needs to keep that in mind, that value to the children and to the community overall of having occupied, physically busy and physically tired children. I think that there's a need to consider that, and one thing I also hope you'll consider is the center field light that aims toward home plate. I know you talked about light spillage, well, I hope some of it spills up into the Russian residents. But no, seriously, I think there's a need to support the Scots up. But you also, the community, I think, is fair to expect the league to monitor, to police the double parking, to say, Mr. Jones, you gotta move that car. You can't be double parking. You gotta figure something else out. And that kind of stuff, because you too are part of the overall community. So it's gotta be a two-way street.
Thank you.
Deb, may I say
So, just to wrap up a little bit, cause it is getting late. and
Is that
we
on
will
Deb,
discuss it.
Deb,
and-
excuse me, I did have my hands up before David.
Yeah, so
And
I don't wanna, because I think that Jody, if I have you go, then Abigail, then Abby, like, I really wanted to stick to just 3 or 4 people pro, 3 or 4 people against, and then I'd like
But
to
I'm
give the
neutral.
floor to the.
But I'm neutral and I have questions. And I'm
you're
a,
neutral and you have
and I'm a
questions, then-
non-board member who lives in Spuyten Duyvil, just like David is. So, my questions are quick, because this doesn't happen in a vacuum. So what happens in North Riverdale can roll over into, Spuyten Duyvil and the South Riverdale League. So would this be the first field in the district that would have lights? So is it setting a precedent that could be rolled out to other fields? Would the scheduling of fall evening things free up the weekends for other groups who might want to use it at night on a weekend? And is a parks employee required to physically turn the lights on and off because their budgets are pretty stretched? So those are my 3 questions that are neither pro nor con. And I'm very interested in this because the ball fields in Spuyten Duyvil are in much denser neighborhoods. And I appreciate everybody's careful thought through this because it's giving us a chance to figure some of these things out before it rolls down to Spuyten Duyvil. So thank you, Deb, for the time.
Yeah,
Mike,
absolutely.
I have a parks question.
Sure, just one second, I wanna address Jody's question. So, Jody, your questions were,
You froze again. Come back.
So they'll be back in a minute.
Yeah,
Just
it's
to let you know
normal.
that
For
even
the
though,
kids to
even though they froze, it's still being recorded, so they can always look back to see what was missed.
Oh, that's
good,
great to
wonderful,
know.
Thank you, that's great, Julie, great.
And so that's the.
Oh,
goal,
you're
but again,
back?
As we're doing that and getting additional capacity, we would continue to kind of work with other organizations in the community.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, that was my recollection.
on
Kingsbridge Field is like.
That's the one on
Yeah.
Bailey?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the name of
Yeah.
that one?
Got it,
It's two,
The name of that one. Coons,
Coons.
Cooney Grower Field.
Cooney Growl, okay, which leads to, I have a parks question for the.
A parks question pertaining to lighting on.
No,
fields?
just about fields.
Okay.
All right. It's distressing to hear that Kelly Field has, is not in good shape. I was looking at, the Kingsbridge Little League Field.
Right.
And there's a section called reviews in Google, and it was saying that this is terrible, it's not in good shape. Maybe the Parks Committee could look at the different fields and.
No, agreed, I think
That's what's come out to me. I mean, I started to look at this only in the vein that I was thinking, this is costing a fortune and there's a limited amount of the pie. And whether it's lights or something else, just to see the needs in Community Board 8 of the different fields,
Deb,
whether
can I
they're
just
lit
talk
or
to the
not.
Condition of the field?
Just one,
'Cause I know based on what my talks with parks, why.
No, I know, but I don't wanna have too much crosstalk, so let me, let's just say that we are gonna be talking about the fiscal year 28 budget priorities a little bit later tonight. Just we'll touch on it, but then we will be coming back in January and.
I mean, I know they have a contract with the Parks Department and we work very hard,
I do most of them.
Yeah. The
Most of them.
parents do a lot of.
So
We do it all.
Right, exactly.
And the reason why Sid Field is easily maintained is because it's locked. The issue with Kelly is that it's open to everybody all the
That's right.
But Kelly is never gonna be in a great condition because it's used, and it should be. It's an open park used by anybody that ever, dogs are on it. Anybody that wants to go on it
Barbecue.
and have barbecues and have
Right, no, I know.
beer and all that other stuff.
Yeah, no, I know. I know.
Sid is in great condition because we can lock it. And that's the, and that's.
No,
it's the
I
safest
hear
place
you, I hear you, I'm gonna
for our
stop you,
kids
I'm
to
gonna
play.
I'm gonna stop you though for now, so we can just kind of wrap this up. And I think, because I think we covered part of it, is there any last words you wanna say on this for tonight?
Yeah, I think, I just wanna speak a little bit to some of the things that were brought up in opposition, and I'll go through them quickly. I would like to just make it known that of residents in the Vinmont houses, there were actually a couple online and 2 here who were willing to speak, and I understand time constraints and everyone couldn't speak, but there were people who live across the street from it in support of it. And there was someone against it who had said that, you know, that I had said there was no issue with traffic, and that's not what I said. I said there were no accidents. And trust me, that stretch of road, I mean, you have PS 81, you have RNH. I actually live, how would I know? I live half a block away, right? That's my neighborhood, that's my block. And especially in the morning or at like 2 or 3 PM when the schools are letting out, man, if you come off of the Henry Hudson at the wrong time, it's insane, right? So the issues that I think that gentleman was talking about, I've seen them, but they're not related to a baseball game at Citi Field. They're related to all these other community things that are happening there, the pickups and the drop-offs. You don't see those sorts of things later in the evenings, past the end of the day. You don't see those sort of things in the way that he was describing on the weekends. You see those things, pickups and drop-offs generally. And as far as cars kind of coming off the Henry Hudson Parkway, we're talking about a period of time where there's much less traffic in general, and it's already past the end of the major rush hour. And it's true that does happen. You have cars coming off of it, but you're talking about a period of time when that sort of traffic is much, much lower. And there's also, it was brought up kind of, you have, the older kids that can't play there. And again, so we service kids from age 4, actually, there's some 3 and change who sneak in there, but 4-year-old up to 16-year-old. Of that age group, 6 to 13 make use in some way of Citi Field. And as kids get older, they get bored of it, or they go to high school, or they now have boyfriends and girlfriends, and so it's kind of, the bulk of the league is that age group. It's easily 80% of the league is that within that age, easily. So, I think the fact that there are kids who play elsewhere is not a good argument to not support this bulk of kids who are there. And there's been a number of issues about, what should the New York City Park Department's dollars go to? And we're acutely aware of how stretched, and we have a great relationship with everyone in the Parks Department in the area. And we work with them, we do everything for that park. And the reason why we're trying to push forward with this, knowing how stretched the park is because the goal would be to get funding outside of the Parks Department, knowing how stretched they are. And so, I think we're not doing that in a way that further stretches the park's dollars. The goal would be to get it from outside the park's dollars.
But say money can go to another park.
Yes, money could go to another park.
There's a Vermont resident, by the way, Vermont resident,
could
and
go.
Vermont resident left who were opposed to the park, so I know, I'm opposed to the,
And the important thing.
Just a point of order, I just want to pull the meeting back. Any final questions from the committee? All right, well, I want to thank you.
Deb,
all
I have
for-
one more comment. One more comment that got kind of lost, a point of clarification.
Do you have a-
Yeah, I just think that it got lost in the presentation, but the league is at capacity. We're turning away kids right now. Kids who we know be out and playing ball. So Lights allows the league to expand so that more kids can play. And I think that the league has a track record of being really excellent neighbors and taking care of their neighbors. I know a coach at Vinmont, his car caught on fire, coaches went to help him. I know that the league is interested in working with the community to come up with parameters. I'm sure we could draw up a contract, whether it's 9 o'clock, 8:30, 10 o'clock was too late. Nobody suggested 10 o'clock. That's just like the New York City curfew, but that was never considered by the league. 10 o'clock, we all agree is too late. So thank you very much.
So yeah, thank you. We cut you off. I want to thank everybody for coming. We'll bring this back to the agenda at the October meeting, and then we'll make a decision about a letter of support or what we'd like to do for next steps. For the committee, the questions that I've got for follow-up with the office are, can the lights be programs to only be on when games are happening or to go off at 9? Have there been any issues with their spring season? We actually are lucky in that they do use the park already during the kind of slot of time. So I would be curious to talk to the board office to see if there have been reported issues, like what's it like when it's high season in the spring. I would like to just pull permit requests to get an understanding in general of how used our ball fields are in the district. To Laura's point, I think I didn't really have any awareness of the poor condition of so many of them. And that they might be oversubscribed, and that there's competition between the little kids and the adults and the beer leagues. And I agree with David that I think everybody needs to get outside and have exercise, especially younger kids, because that's where you learn the habit of it, so that when you're in your 50s, it's not such a pain to go and do some sports and keep yourself healthy, because I think it's really important. So I would like to just have a sense from Artie of like how many, like what's the capacity? Are we at capacity across all of our ball fields? And maybe you can already answer that question for me. But what other questions are on your mind as you're thinking about your weighing this?
Well, I think we need to talk to Parks, as you said, about the operational hours. That's obviously a major consideration here.
Yeah.
But you know, I think we also have to find out about
the unit
the exposure of the lights, you know, is it, I'm sure it's not fully contained to the field, but you know, what's the area where there would be light? You know, we need more information from Parks.
Yeah, and I wonder too, on the topic of private financing, if there's a world where there's public financing to run the electricity to the field, but then there's more of a private option to get something very specific that keeps the light very focused, like something maybe a little bit not in the park's generic procurement toolkit for the units themselves. I know that some parks have done that for backboards and basketball courts, for example, where they were able to kind of get that custom thing, but everything else is park standard.
Yeah.
I think they mentioned that there is a field that has lighting now. Was I correct?
Yeah, but
There
it's
is a-
only Kingsbridge Little League.
No, that's fine, but I'm curious about how
Oh,
long
like
that
what-
project took to implement and how, like, what the process was. I know it may be different here, but I'm just curious
And the
about what the
Um,
impact would be on the community.
I think the parks will tell you over and over that it's basically like 2-year. It doesn't even really depend that much because of, I mean, the complexity might draw out a little bit longer, but it's essentially like a 16-month to 24-month for each stage. So design, procurement, and construction.
Okay, so 16 months of not being able to use that field and.
During
and-
construction,
during
yeah.
construction. Okay.
Yeah, most things are
It
like
was
a year to.
for the construction in 2011 with the flooding issue, that they changed the whole grade. The field was
They did it at least twice because it didn't work.
right.
Well, this might be an opportunity too to actually fix that.
They fixed it.
Yeah.
Take care,
They fixed it.
No, when they do the lights.
we have field, actual athletic fields
understand what
come in every year, to pick
Solid
up the
future.
field and add in field conditioner.
Mhm.
If we resound the field, we can do that ourselves, but we need electricity.
Right. Anything else? Okay, all right. Well, thank you all. I will give you a pause if you wanna stay for the fiscal year 27-28 budget conversation, you're welcome to do it. But, I don't stand and wait between you and the door.
And I was-
Yeah, great to see you.
Deborah, as you're trying to answer those questions, if there's any of them, information that you have my contract.
And we'll be able to come to the next meeting in October, okay, great, we'll see you then.
Perfect. I live on 127, this is St. Edmunds.
Okay.
All right.
This one here.
Good night, thank you again.
Closer to the A train than.
Ready. Where did we go? All right, I think Sebastian, you are next. Yeah, I'm such a patient man. I tried to discourage you from going on the agenda.
I will be brief, Deb. Thank you. I just want the committee to start discussing the priorities for FY 28 by first reviewing the FY 27 expense and capital, and see if you want to have them how you want to have them prioritized for the FY 28. And just start the discussions now and bring it to the January meeting, so we can start the process in January and end in April.
Yeah.
I sent
Yeah.
the draft to you, Deb. It's also available on the website.
Of kind of a generic schedule.
Yeah, the schedule, and I also sent the FY 27. Yes.
Yeah, Karen already printed them out for us, so we got it.
Yeah.
And so for the committee, what we did last year, for those who weren't on the committee, that we have two lists. We've got the list that is the list of all of the ideas folks have suggested, folks who've come to the meetings, or we've heard from parks, or we've thought about it, and then so that way we got something to work off of. We can always add new things to it. And then we try to hone it all down to 5. So what this is like the honed list, but I can also send out kind of the expanded list of all of the things that have made it to the list over the last couple of years. Just so that, as a kind of conversation starter, if you will. And then for the thing to know about the Parks Department is the Parks Department doesn't have standing budget for capital. So it barely has any budget for expense, but it doesn't have its own budget for capital, unlike other agencies like DEP, for example, or DOT, that can kind of spend their money according to agency priorities. The Parks Department has to get funded by elected officials. And so generally that means that it gets funded by our city council member. We have 3 in our district, Carmen De La Rosa, Eric Dinowitz, and Pierina Sanchez, and they all usually will pitch in for something in our district. So the capital budget priorities in particular are really important for the Parks Department. And so the expense report as well, but I think in the expense, we're often competing with other committees where most of their agency asks are really about expenses. They don't do a lot of capital stuff. So that's kind of a primer. You can take a look at this of what we had from last year as it gets a little close.
Take a look at that.
Oh, yeah, right now. Yeah, already printed a budget.
If I may,
Budget, David used to be our budget chair, and so he's a font of expertise on it.
And I didn't come here to talk about the budget, frankly. But are you two aware that there's a capital budget and an expense budget?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Carol's on the
Okay,
committee
sorry.
last year.
Okay, sorry. So
She's the
sorry.
old hand at it.
Not specifically, but in general.
Well, oh, no, but yeah, here
Yeah,
specifically,
yes,
and for some
yeah.
bizarre reason,
Yeah.
the city says like a capital item is anything more than $35,000, which is not the traditional
Oh.
finance definition, but that's what the city considers, so.
Right,
it's just for your
ironically, standard financial definitions would have that number be much higher,
Yeah.
while the Parks Department has never seen anything for $35,000 that I'm ever aware of.
Right, but not just a higher number, but also longer term.
Right, typically it's long, right.
Yeah,
Right.
Right.
generally, the rule was 5 years or more.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
Yeah.
$35,000 on these projects is a rounding error.
Yeah, that's not even, you can't even get a vehicle, which you normally
Exactly,
could get
that's
for
right.
$35,000. Yeah. So any questions about budget stuff? Well, normally what we do is in January, we invite park stewardship groups to come, unless there's some big pressing presentation, to have them tell us what's on their minds. I did have Joe Magneri, I saw him last weekend, and he reminded me, or actually told me, I didn't know, that the Marble Hill Playground is one of the playground, we were talking about Bailey, and he was saying the other playground that has also not been renovated is Marble Hill. When I was looking at it, because I noticed that they had a baseball field, they have a women's softball field. It says on Google Maps, it's a
Oh, is that right?
softball field, but it has no name.
Weird rectangle.
It's a
Rhombus,
weird,
actually.
it's a weird
It's like a
rhombus.
rhombus, like-
Yeah, but,
And I don't think it's even regulation size.
yeah.
That,
So,
for any sport.
yeah, I mean, it's there, but it's,
I wasn't sure if they used it as a field, just in general, or if they actually were playing baseball, softball, little league, anything on. I don't know if they're pulling any permits for that.
It's like a-
I've been there, on the times I've been there, there are kids playing there. It doesn't look like it's an organized game.
Yeah,
It's just in neighborhood kids got together and
the
they're
green
playing.
face.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Can you walk me through the budgeting timeline? Of when, like, when do you propose it? When do you propose new projects? When are they decided on? When do you actually propose the budget?
So it might be helpful because it's September to talk first about, so right now we're in fiscal year 26. This is the budget cycle we're in right now. They start July 1.
Right, okay.
And so FY 26 is what's happening right now, and it's the money that's been allocated.
Wait,
We've had this,
So your fiscal year is
if the
June,
year it
June.
ends.
July.
July
July,
1
July,
to July 1 to July
July
1.
1 to June 30.
Okay.
And we refer to it by the year that it ends.
Okay,
So we're in 2025, but
Yeah.
we're in
Got it.
FY 26.
Yeah.
This whole process happened last year,
Yeah.
so, the very end of the budgeting process is when the board as a whole passes its, budget, priorities, which
Okay.
we'll do in October.
Yeah.
That's fiscal year 27.
Yeah.
And that'll then go into the hopper of like advocacy with the electeds, and then they'll pass their budget, the city council and mayor will haggle back and forth and pass their budget in time to start again in July 1. But this becomes
so is that
our.
like May time?
No, it kind of starts in February, I think, is
Yeah.
the preliminary budget, and then it's back and forth,
Somewhere in the first 3 or weeks of June in society.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So this is kind of like the community board's recommendations for our electeds and our mayor of like what we think the district needs are.
Okay, so we actually don't hear back until, let's say, February through and.
We don't hear, well, we'll get, responses to our budget, so in January, essentially, we'll look at our list, and
Yeah.
most of it will not have been done.
Okay,
And so maybe none of it will have been done.
okay.
We'll look at the list, and then we'll put our recommendations together, and then, David, when do they give us our budget feedback? Is that in June, July?
I'm sorry, which mayor are you referring to?
The agency.
The agencies?
The agency, over
No,
the summer?
no,
I don't remember when I get that.
well, no, actually, there's a budget cycle that FAIR is participating in probably
Right now,
right now.
right.
And.
Exactly, today all day.
Okay.
Sarah, when do we get the agency responses to our budget?
Over the winter, really.
It's over.
Yeah, you get them in like January, February.
And a lot of it's gonna be, great idea, ask your council.
Yeah, that's for the Parks Department, for all of
That's right.
these, they're gonna say, wonderful idea, if we don't have the budget, ask your council person.
Yeah.
But for some of them, sometimes like when I was on DOT or Traffic and Transportation, sometimes they would say, no, we don't agree with this priority or something, and they
Right.
would just reject it.
Okay.
And reading this can be good, if nothing else, to stimulate other thoughts
Yeah,
on your
this
end
is
to
great.
bring to these meetings.
Exactly.
Right, this is great. And so the elected officials will get back with their ideas for the budget or their.
Well, they'll take we'll send them our list.
Yeah.
And then they'll have their own ideas, and then hopefully they'll pick something off of our list.
By like June.
Well, like Bailey Playground right now. Sanchez and Denowitz have both said they would like to put money towards it.
Yeah.
Sanchez has said she wants to get it done this year.
Okay.
That would be amazing.
They want to get money from the BP as
They also want to get money from the BP. I think Farrah said that the BP was interested in funding
Yep,
for Bailey.
Senator Jackson also said, you know, it's gonna take all of our electeds to pool money for this. And, you know, a credit to Parks, this has been on their agenda, their priorities for many years, so they don't give up on it. So sometimes it takes many years to get something done in our community.
Yeah, and the Bailey Playground one's a little bit special because it has drainage issues, and so it's like a $14 million reconstruction, as opposed to like the playground that you saw with Fort Independence, which actually got what's called Community Parks Initiative funding, because it's a smaller project that they, I think, Councilmember Denowitz put his CPI money towards that one playground.
Okay.
At some point, you may want to discuss about things like equity issues and, because Bailey is an equity issue. Besides the fact that it needs to be redone,
No, that
it's
makes sense.
where it's located,
No, that-
doesn't get
yeah.
much love.
Yeah.
And from an equity perspective, plus actual bang for the buck,
Yeah, no.
and what they can
Right.
leverage out of it, this great value. So there are those things
Yeah,
which you might want to introduce her
Right,
to.
no, I
Or-
got
or
that.
not-
That's
Looking
great.
at the distribution of the
Yeah.
neighborhood too, and just making
That
sure
makes
that all the neighborhoods are getting,
Yeah,
getting some attention.
okay, good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just sort of wanted to, have an idea of what your timeline was.
Yeah, so so basically our timeline for the committee is that in January, February, we talk about this stuff. In March, we start to make a list, and then, and put it in a rough order, and then in April, we vote. And then I give it to Sebastian,
Okay,
and then we've done our duty once again for the year.
perfect.
Yeah,
And then Sebastian will bring all the committee stuff.
then Sebastian combines all of the
To the
committee stuff.
executive committee and ultimately to the board, so that transportation may be first and park second and health and hospitals or
Right, so it's looked at as
whatever.
a whole package.
That's right.
Right.
And then, yeah, that's why we only do 5, because because even with the 5, usually the top 25 district needs, only maybe 1 or 2 of these will even make it in there.
Right.
And then you'll see this list in October at the full board meeting, because that's when you'll see the full list of what they've compiled from the work last spring.
Okay.
And then Sebastian, is there anything you wanted to add?
No, I think that was good. And David, it's really helpful. I'm learning from you.
Dave knows about
I
it.
assume you have last year's phone list, my phone number.
Yeah, I do. Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
I'm, they can give you I can give you my phone if you want to,
Great.
just bat it around, get an idea of.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. Anything else, Sebastian, or should we move on?
No, we're good. Thank you.
All right, great, thank you so much. Have a good
Thank you.
night.
Good night.
Any old business? David?
Yes, that's why I came here.
Wow, all right.
And in the interest of time, it's more to get a status update. And I was hoping to bring it to Joe McNeary, but he's not here now. I don't know, Stephanie, if you're sitting in for him or taking notes for him, but at any rate, just a couple of things that were big a year ago and you haven't met since April, so I don't know if there are any updates. One, the pumping station that was redone on Palisade Avenue around 234th Street,
Yeah.
they're done. They did a very nice job. And they did a really nice job of paving Palisade Avenue and redoing
The walkway?
the walkway and the railing and all that
All right.
in front of them. But that leaves the rest of the path and the railing at
Is it
the
still very good?
the Riverdale Park in shambles, because it hasn't been touched in
Right.
20 years when Oliver Capella got the money for all that. And it's actually deteriorated a great deal because water runoff is eating away at the fence there, etc. So it needs a lot of work. I know that it was on probably the back of Joe's list a year and a half ago. I don't know where it is now.
So I thought that, I mean, we can talk to Joe, I mean, or unless Farah has something, my understanding of it was that there was a question about whether that property belonged to DOT,
It does.
or, yeah, and it wasn't.
Not even
not
by
Parks.
thing. Not only does the sidewalk belong to DOT, a part of the park
Belongs to DOT, yeah,
It
Oh,
was
okay.
built, it was built in the street roadbed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I was not, I guess I was, you were on the board back then when Oliver did it, I just assumed. it was
No,
Parks
it's not,
on
it's
Mountain.
not from Oliver. I learned that subsequently,
Yeah,
but. yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
so it's a no man's land is I think what we're talking about.
all right, but then
So
but the
maybe
bottom line is, it does definitely need to be addressed.
I think it's the challenge of how to get it addressed. Farah?
Yeah.
For your district service cabinet meeting,
Mm-hmm.
this seems like it would be a good thing to raise with, DOT and with parks about what, I mean, we can do a capital, budget item, we can do it out of expense, whatever they can do, but who's gonna take lead? And can they simply replace the path as is? We don't want them, building sidewalks.
Yeah, because DOT already said they have an issue building sidewalks because they have to build it on both sides, and I guess there is an issue on one of the sides. But where exactly is this that you're talking about?
Palisade Avenue, just north of, 232, well, yeah, basically starting at 232, really. Because the pumping station, they did a great job at 234. So that's
Right.
in very bad shape. And then beyond the pumping station, it's in bad shape, but not terrible shape like it is south of there.
Right, because
But it's a-
DP said and Parks, they can only do the work within the scope of the work that they were funded for, and that's what they did. So yes, you're right, you have to do new capital projects for anything else.
So the DEP must have gotten permission to do what they did, either with DOT or with parks, right? And I thought that they
Mhm.
were working with parks on
They
that,
were
so-
working with Parks, yes.
Well,
Because then maybe there's a world where we can just have the continuation of that continue to be parks.
Mm-hmm,
And it's just the continuation of what's already there, but up, instead of
The
us trying to
pathway.
describe what we want, they've already got it spec'd out, it's just continuing it further north or south.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
South.
South,
Yeah.
234th down, okay.
Down, 234
DEP did a very good job. It's quite impressive, frankly. But.
So, I mean, Farrah, could you confirm that theory is correct, that if we can point to a section that they worked with on parks, that we could then say, can you recreate this as a budget priority? And could they, it must be a budget priority. I'm sure they can't do it out of their expense budget.
Okay, yep.
Okay.
I'm doing the agenda tomorrow, so I'll add it on there and ask you questions if I have any.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
And the other thing is two segments of roadway, that happen to be adjacent to, Parks, properties. Wave Hill, which is what Spalding Lane and Independence Avenue.
Yep.
The property owner is responsible to the macadam, the blacktop. And Wave Hill needs to take care of that on Independence.
You're talking about the ditch, essentially, the gullet.
Yeah, basically the gully, yep. And actually, the yeshiva across the street has that same issue, right across Independence Avenue. So that's one segment. Then also the lower end of Palisade Avenue, at the very bottom, where it takes a 90-degree turn at Half Moon Park. If that little segment between Independence Avenue and Independence Avenue, because it splits, and Palisade Avenue, apparently Parks owns that corner. And that too is the property at the edge is washing away, which creates a drop off again for the street.
So Palisade Avenue and what? It's like, is that where it kind of goes all the way to the bottom at Doglegs?
Yes, at Doglegs, at the very bottom, and on the water side is the Half Moon Overlook. But on the north side of it is a little triangle sort of, that it's a Green Street or whatever.
No,
Yeah,
it's not, it's not, it's the same as what's on it's the same as Palisade Avenue at Riverdale Park. The guardrail on Palisade Avenue into 20 feet into Riverdale Park is mapped Palisade Avenue. That triangle is mapped as the unbuilt portion of the intersection of Independence and Palisade. So that strip where one of the vandals of Henry Hudson Park is planting a garden, I've already had Parks go and look at it. Joe said it's not theirs. Allison said it's not theirs. But if she
Oh, really?
moves, if she moves back a few feet, she will be in a portion of Shorefront Park, and then I will be on her case. But that is the, you can go to the Zola map and you can see the lot line and where the like Palisade Avenue from Half Moon to 2390, where the fake Independence comes down, is mapped at 60 feet wide. It's only paved at like 32. So, you know, that's all the stuff we learned in doing the Greenway plan in 1996 to 1998, is that half of the streets, and I think part of
Jody,
Independence.
who owns the property, that was not paved on, not the Half Moon, but the north side?
On the north side of what?
Of the turn at Palisade Avenue at Half Moon.
On the turn
saying
at
it's-
Palisade Avenue at Half Moon, where the garden is, there's currently a garden there.
Yeah, sort of a garden, yes.
That is the mapped but unbuilt portion of the street.
Okay, so
And
who
so
owns the
for,
property?
well, it's DOT, so it's a DOT
Okay,
mapped
alright.
street, but it's not paved, which means, again, they would have to do a complete street and put sidewalks on both sides and all of that stuff. So, and there's not really a big water problem. I am out in heavy rainstorms, I'm videoing water, you know, so it's really just cars drive over it, you know, it's whatever. But
I
yeah,
beg
but
to differ. There's a sharp drop off from Macadam. Okay.
I just wanted to interrupt because it's getting a little bit.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Jody, you want to talk about the Vandal, and then I've got your schedule of events coming up. Good night, Bob.
yes,
I
so
got your
so
schedule of events.
So again, just to get it on the record, for those of you who did not see the Riverdale Press or the News 12 coverage or my Facebook post, we again have people in Henry Hudson Park cutting 40 plus trees with multiple branches off. The forestry department came and all they did was give us signs that said this tree has been harmed, but they put them on the light poles, and the number they gave us didn't work. And the email they gave us, they basically said, you know, look, we can't do anything unless PEP catches them. So it's very frustrating, especially since Saturday is City of Forest Day citywide, and more than there's over 100 events planned citywide. Many of the Bronx groups are doing them. I will be doing 4 events. 10 a.m. to 12 in Henry Hudson Park. The Urban Park Rangers will be there. I invite the community board to come and be part of it. Also, then we will head down to Shorefront Park from 1 to 3, and we're going to repeat our walking tour that we did 2 years ago that was pretty well attended. So we'll walk the trails, identify all the plants that are coming in from our restoration. And simultaneously, there will be street tree signs up in the Kapok Street Garden. Did you guys freeze? You guys froze. Are you back?
She's frozen.
Yeah.
Now she's back.
Are you
Is
back?
that-
So, Julia,
Oh, there. So Henry Hudson Park, Saturday, 10 to 12. Shorefront Park Trail Tour, 1 to 3, and then a special tree themed book list at the Spite and Dival Library, as well as signs on street trees at the library and on Kapok Street, so people can learn about the value of street trees and how to care for them. Hi.
okay,
So
all right, thank you. All right.
Thank
good
you.
night. Thank you, Jody. Thanks for all you do. Good night. So I'm gonna move on to new business, and the only thing I have for new business is the we have a new board year.
Mm.
And so if you had any ideas of things you wanted to do, we can talk about it in October as well.
Yeah.
The one thing that Carol wanted to do that we left off with in May is to update the Parks Resource Guide. Because it's
Okay.
been 5 years. And
Okay.
so there's certainly some stewardship groups and stuff that have changed. There may be some amenities that have changed.
Okay.
Hopefully our meeting won't be so heavy that we'll have a little time to talk about it in October. But I thought if we could at least, take it home, take a look at it, we can start to
That's
think about what to update. how to-
And is this also digital?
I think it's digital. Is Farah still on? Hey, Farah, is the guide is digital too, yes?
I believe so, yes.
On our website.
Awesome.
Yes, it's on the
Yeah.
website. You can download it.
Yeah.
All guides are at the bottom of the website. You just go scroll all the way to the end of the website and look for resources. It should be on on the committee page too, but if not, it's definitely in resources.
Yeah, we just did a review of our committee page back in the spring, and that's
Okay.
how this came up, so I'm pretty sure it's there.
Okay.
And then, real quick, Daniel, you had something for new business?
Yes, I'm so sorry. I don't want to hold this any longer, trust me.
You don't have to apologize, I'm sorry, Tim.
I just I have 3 questions and well it's just one of them might be a question because I just want to know, and then the other stuff might just be updates, whatever. But the first one is Albany Crescent, right? There's like that open space there. Like it's like there's parking there, but then there's like that open space that's on both sides of Albany Crescent. Is that considered like a parks thing, or is that like a land use area? So like anything to do with that, like would we bring it up in this meeting or would we bring it up in land use?
Bummer, man.
What was that? I'm sorry.
Are you talking about the overhang over the Major Deegan?
Yeah, like
Open space?
yeah, people could walk, like some people could like walk to their apartments. Like there's apartments right across the street, and then there's like that open space in Albany Crescent, and there's the
Yeah.
other, yeah, like going towards the Kingswood Little League, like that whole section, like it looks like a crescent. Is that like a parks
Well, there's
department?
Well, there's Crescent Park. Are you referring to Crescent Park? 'Cause there's like there's a few different little section cutouts, right? Because there's like, as you're going around the turn away from the Little League, there's that little Crescent Park, it's called Crescent Park. And then there's that kind of totally hardscape overhang over the Deacon that's across from apartment buildings. I mean, they're both across from apartment buildings.
It's the latter. So it's the stuff that's hanging over the Deegan.
Yeah, I think that's DOT.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. We always have issues of garbage there, and we're always having them come and help clean that up.
Okay. So question with that is DOT. All right, cool. So Van Cortlandt Park, this is my second point. So Van Cortlandt Park, where the new basketball courts were recently built, there's the other handball courts there. It's like the smaller one. It was brought up to me, and I think they're gonna bring it up in the next meeting with you guys, that they want to install benches there. So that may be something that comes up in the next meeting. So just want to put that out.
Who's the they?
There's a couple people that they host like basketball tournaments every summer, and so like that might be a suggestion that they bring up, which I find it interesting because it is not utilized, and I do think it's an idea that it's interesting to hear them out for. So just putting that on our radar.
Yeah, so one thing to add, just for context on that, Daniel, is that, and maybe Stephanie wants to speak to this as well, but that the Van Cortlandt Park Alliance and the Parks Department have been doing a stadium study. They got a bunch of community input on what to do about the stadium, because the stadium is in poor condition. The stadium's the other side of those handball courts, right? That's all the stadium wall. And so you've got I think the netting is still along the top of the handball courts because of the instability of the wall of the stadium there. So I'm hoping that the Parks Department will come back to us either in October or November and tell us what they learned with their stadium study and what they're thinking about with the stadium. It was not just the stadium, but the entire kind of southern end of the park was the topic of the study. Stephanie, is there anything you want to add to it? I assume these benches would kind of be part of it, because it's all the handball courts and it's everything in the southern end. Stephanie, anything you'd like to add? She's gone to sleep. All right, well, we'll ask her in October.
The last thing I was gonna say is, and I wasn't in the last meeting, but I saw the notes, but I'm in the, which meeting is it? I'm a part of the economic committee, and one of the things that were brought up was the Riverdale Y was considering looking for other locations to have their flea market or their food market. I suggested, I'm sorry, what?
They're a farmer's market.
Yeah, the farmer's market. So I responded to the agenda. I haven't heard back, but I suggested possibly having it in Marble Hill Park because I think that's a low served area, and I think they could benefit from like a farmer's market because they can have Whole Foods access, and St. John's Church is right there. So something that happened in our meeting that we could possibly talk about in the next parks meeting as like a option, yeah, just putting that out there.
Is there a person who's organizing the farmer's market?
It wasn't the agenda, so maybe we could discuss with them in the economics committee meeting to just
If there's a person who's a farmer's market organizer, right, who has the connections with the farmers that wants to set something up, they should reach out to maybe Farah at the office, because there's basically a permitting process. They just need to go through the permitting process with the Parks Department. And it's a little bit intensive for a farmer's market, but that's because they're gonna be using public land for making, they're not gonna for making money. Whenever you're selling anything in the park, there's an additional layer of bureaucracy in order to avoid people setting up shop there. But there is a process, and if you actually just go online and you Google like NYC Parks farmers market permitting, parks, that the whole process is laid out. I'm sure Farrah can help you if you.
Yeah, that's the Riverdale Y Market, and he did come because he wanted more assistance in having more vendors be part of his market. So he wanted us to make suggestions. Yes, he did say he's looking for another site, like he mentioned by St. Gabe's School or whatever parking lot. But it could always be suggested to him to go down there. But I just want to clarify, he was looking to see how he could get more food options and vendors to join his market.
Okay, makes sense. Well, that's all I had. Appreciate you guys for hearing me out, and I hope you guys have a good night. Thank you.
But he did mention that he was looking to possibly relocate for better foot traffic, and he did mention St. Gabe's. And Daniel, you mentioned St. John's. Is that the one on 231st Street?
I was saying that St. John's Church is right there. So if you had it on a Sunday, you would get a lot of people from the church to come after to Marble Hill Park.
Can you email Farah that information and Constance, because Constance is with economics, just to suggest that, and this way they could relay it over to the person who presented at economics, because he is looking for another place to go.
Yeah, I believe that I emailed it, and I'll bring it up again. But yeah.
Okay. Good enough. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we lost the office.
Oh, did we? They're gone. Oh wait, no, I see. No.
Yeah, that's why you need someone else.
We adjourned the meeting.
They adjourned.